Hi, I'm March from StrataGames, and big surprise, today we're playing some more Esper CryoBlade. I've been trying to get to the bottom of the perfect list, and we're not quite there yet, we're getting there. But it's a little frustrating because when I first threw the deck together, right at the beginning of like August was that, when CryoBlade came out, or rather Cryogen Relic came out, I felt like I had a pretty decent list. Deck was working really well. And then through more testing and things, it started to feel worse. I assume that's for a couple reasons. One, the deck is a known quantity now. People know better how to play around it, or even, maybe there's more sideboard cards against Affinity and things like that because of it. So that's one big issue. And then, I don't know, maybe I just got lucky in the beginning. Maybe it wasn't as good as I thought. Whatever. The deck's still good. We're just trying to make it a little bit smoother. And so to that end, I'm trying out a couple Lembas, which is, of course, a staple in Boros Synth and in Orzhov Glintblade, and was one that I thought was probably unnecessary because of the Cryogen Relics being, I would say, mostly just better. However, I've had some issues making sure we have artifacts early enough that we can then play our Skyfishers and our Glinthawks. And so I wanted to up the number of artifacts that we have, because we really only have 10 that we wanted, 8 before, that we wanted to use proactively. If our opponent plays any creatures, we can Grimbauble or Tithing Blade and then pick those back up if it's the right match for them. But if it's not, then it's really only Cryogen Relic and Refurb. So I think having a couple extra Lembas is going to help that ideally. I've also switched back to a couple of Eviscerator's Insights and a couple Thraven Charms here. I've been testing various combinations of cards. I have been liking Jolted Awake a lot in the last couple of videos. A couple commenters mentioned, and I think they had some very good points about Jolted Awake being one of them said a win more card. I'm not sure that's quite true, but a card that you want to play after you've already played like a Core Skyfisher, which Core Skyfisher and Glinthawk already come after Relic or Refurb, right? So you already have this order of cards you want to play, which is some sort of artifact, and then your Skyfisher and Glinthawk. Jolted Awake, except for in the face of counter spells or things like that, is mostly going to be coming after a relic has gone to the graveyard, although that doesn't usually happen until late game or if it gets countered. So Jolted Awake is good after, like, of course, Skyfisher or Glinthawk go to the graveyard through removal or trading off. But since those aren't coming down until after our artifacts, then there's like this whole chain of order of cards, and that makes things a little bit awkward. So we've taken them out. I still like them decently, but we're trying without them. I did try a couple leagues without the Raven's Crime, and then I immediately went up against Turbo Fog and regretted it. So Raven's Crime is back, and yeah, other than that, pretty standard. Our sideboard, actually I was messing around with the sideboard. I haven't quite finished it. We were messing around with 2 envelops instead of negates last time, and I think they're okay for some reasons, but then I went up against Turbo Fog, not a big quantity in the format, but that was one that negate would have been nice against. Of course, Cycle Storm, any really Storm deck you're going to want negates against. There isn't one deck that in the format, except for High Tide, I suppose, that Envelop is far worse for, but there are just a lot of little decks, and Pauper is diverse enough of a format that you're going to go up against them often enough that I think the extra mana, I would rather just play the negate. Of course, Envelop was good for a couple of the main cards that I wanted to hit, Dread Return for Spy combo decks, and Dust to Dust against any deck bringing those in. But I think negate is just a bit more of a catch-all. We're already a bit of a slower deck, so the 1 extra mana can be detrimental, but also we're already kind of built to try to survive for that. So my main issue currently is that Gruul Monsters / Ponza is a bit on the rise in my experience. And that's a match that feels kind of bad for us, because Bauble can take an Arbor Elf, but otherwise is pretty useless. Tithing Blade maybe can catch a creature, but usually they have spawn laying around, so that's useless. We do have some decent removal, but other than that, we're very slow, so we get overrun pretty quickly, and I don't even know what to bring in from the sideboard. I had put in a sideboard a while ago. I had put in a Crypt Rats, which feels a little weird in like a 3-color deck and all this stuff, but it honestly isn't terrible. We have a lot of ways to make black mana, and it is a way to wipe the board. However, the creatures get too big too fast in Gruul Monsters that a Crypt Rats, even if I get it on turn 3 and then can, deal 4 damage on turn 4, that's not going to kill a Chrysalis. That's not going to kill a lot of things. And so that doesn't feel great without Death Touch. And I don't think I can really slot in Crypt Rats and a Death Touch Giver like Toxin Analysis all into the sideboard. I think that's a little ambitious. So I am open to suggestions. This is a weird idea that I had, which was Lose Focus. Maybe one that we could try in... it doesn't quite feel like a sideboard card. Could be a main deck card. The reason that this is particularly good against Gruul is that it counters the Cascade spell. So if they Cascade, they have 2 spells on the stack, and then you can counter them both with the Lose Focus, which could be really nice. But also this is good because, like, if they're Ponza, for example, bringing in Negate or Duress for those is, like, not a great plan, but it's not, not terrible either, so that you don't get your lands blown up. But then those cards lose value very quickly because your opponent then plays mostly creatures. So having a counter spell that can just counter anything could be good. Of course, Metallic Rebuke is the main one that people play in artifact decks, and that's one that I could maybe try to bring back. I haven't played it. I've tried it in the list a couple times, and it's never been bad, but it's never been the best thing ever. So yeah, maybe that's one to try. But Lose Focus obviously can counter the Cascade spell, which is kind of cool. But I guess just a couple counter spells might be one of the answers, because we can counter in early... Like, obviously this falls off at some point against Gruul, but countering anything on curve is important. The fact that this can counter a creature or counter a land destruction spell is pretty good. So maybe this is the one that I want. Especially also if we have Lembas and things like that, more artifacts sitting around. I was putting 2 Thraben Charms back in here, which I really like, but... maybe these can go back to the sideboard if I'm trying to fit the rebukes in. I'm also trying to balance the amount of card draw, because sometimes we feel like we have too little, sometimes it's too much. Currently we have 4 Thoughtcast, 4 Cryogen, which is, I think, kind of just a staple, and then 2 Eviscerator's Insight, and now 2 Lembas. So quite a bit of card draw, not to mention, like, Blood Fountain and, ways to discard cards like that. Cycle of Suffocating Fumes or whatever. Also, going up against Gruul has been making me kind of want to put a basic in the deck again, because I've got taken the initiative and then I don't get a land, which is kind of annoying. Wildfire is also pretty prevalent in the meta right now. I think it's, like 12% or something, which is a lot, but I can't say I've gone up against it a ton, especially where they're targeting our lands. But if that does happen more, it's another reason to bring in a basic, because it would be something to search up when they try to blow up our lands. So I don't really want to go down more. I don't want to have more than one non-artifact land, so I would have to cut the Bog for that. I think Bog has so much utility that I don't really want to. I think we're going to stick with this for now, but it is another thing that I've been considering in my testing. So I talk about this deck a lot, so let's just, without further ado, jump into a league here. And ideally, we can get some interesting matches and not get unlucky, which I feel like has been happening a little more often than I'd like recently. But, what are you going to do? All right, match 1 here. 1 lander is not going to cut it. This one's decent. A lot of removal, but decent mana. I guess we'll keep triple black over double blue, just because we have a lot of black spells, and in case we get like a Raven's Crime later, it could be good. Double blue is pretty good too, though, so I'm not sure if that was 100% correct. Looks like we might be against Gruul, as prophesied. Let's just... I guess I should just get down my white source. Also, if they are Ponza... Oh, it's not Gruul, it's Bogles. Never mind. In that case, Tithing Blade should be really good here, ideally. We also have a cast down if they do get like an Eldrazi spawn to eat the Tithing Blade. If they just play 2 Bogles, can't do much about that. There's one, just suited up. Okay, there's another. I would love a Suffocating Fumes then. I'm just gonna play Refurb and Thoughtcast, I think. And we're gonna need to find a creature like a Skyfisher to pick up the Tithing Blade. Sentinel's Eye is not the worst. Rancor, I can still block that, and I will. Yep, they know it. Lembas and Cryogen. Let's just start with Lembas. Skyfisher's good. We want that. Now I guess if I Cryogen here, I can't Tithing Blade and then pick it back up again next turn. So I'm just going to Tithing Blade, make them lose this, and then next turn I can Skyfisher Tithing Blade. And if they don't have another creature, that should be game. Cartouche is good. That's another creature. I guess I'll just have to cast down the Warrior first, which means there's not really a reason to Skyfisher here, because it's got first strike. Yeah, so let's just... Cryogen Relic. Ooh, another Refurb is great. We take their last card. It's a forest. That's fine. I'm not blocking this, but it can't block me, so I might as well attack. And then we'll pass. Assuming they don't get another creature, I can cast this down, Skyfisher the Tithing Blade and finish them off. We'll take another 5. They're going to pass. Let's cast this down. Let's cast this down. Skyfisher for Tithing Blade. Play that, and we win the game. Alright, Tithing Blade is, of course, good against Bogles. This is another match where Negate is just a decent card. Thraben Charm, of course, blows up enchantments. Duress can take them early. And this is definitely a deck where I like to oversideboard because it's really important that we have something to stop them. Drowned Sorrow can also just wipe any number of other creatures they have, and then the Tithing Blade can finish them off. So we'll bring that in. Rebuke is decent, so I guess what are we cutting? All the cast downs are fine. Same with the Bauble. This is definitely a lot, but I think it's reasonable. Cut the Lembas and the Insight. I don't want to cut creatures because those can block or chump block, things like that. Blood Fountain could maybe go, but I think this is probably fine. And we're looking for a Tithing Blade, but Thraben Charm, Negate, Raven's Crime is some decent interaction. Not to mention good mana, so I think we'll keep this one. No 1-drop is phenomenal. And a Rebuke is a good draw too. Alright, let's play a bridge. Start with the blue so that we can have up Negate or play a Relic or something. Play a Ledgewalker, Glint Hawk. I could just hold up Negate or Thraben Charm. That doesn't seem great. I think I'd rather get down this Relic so that I can hold up Rebuke as well. Tithing Blade is great. Yeah, we just have a million ways to interact with this. Rumble, okay, they have an extra creature, and they find Ethereal Armor, Plains to play it, Mere Enforcer. So Tithing's our only way to kill a creature right now. I guess I could get down my Glint Hawk, Thraben Charm this. I think we have a bunch of interaction at instant speed, so I'll just leave that up. And then negate an Ancestral Mask. Sentinel's Eyes is fine. If that's all they got, I'd rather just Thraben Charm the armor, I think. I guess this is our only way to kill this, and once this dies, I can kill this. So maybe I just take it, because now I could Glint Hawk another Relic. Yeah, now I'll Glint Hawk the Cryogen, ideally hit a land. Ooh, Duress is pretty decent. If I don't play anything, I discard 2 cards, but that's fine. Once we kill this, we probably just win. I'd like to hold up Thraben Charm to kill this on the end step so I can Tithing. Not to mention I could like negate. I could just Relic to hit that land, but if we don't, it's not great. Or I could Duress. But these are both 2 mana. Let's just pass. It's not that big of a deal if I discard because we don't really need value. We just need to kill this. Cycle and Ash Barrens. But I don't want to just obviously throw the Thraben Charm on the spawn yet because then they could just have another creature or something. But if I do that at the end step, I could probably get them with the Tithing Blade. They don't even play anything pre-combat. They don't attack either. Okay. If I do this and they have like a Vitality Charm, I guess I could Duress for that first. If they have it, it'll still keep it alive, but let's kill the spawn. And ooh, actually I could Blood Fountain for the Metallic Rebuke. That's not gonna work. Let's just Duress to see if they have anything. They have 3 lands. Okay, well I think this will just win the game then. I guess they have a Sentinel's Eyes in the grave, and we don't have the most pressure, so it's possible they could come back from this, but that is brutal. All right, well they drew kind of poorly having so many lands in hand, but we were able to get there. Definitely a decent matchup for us with the main deck Tithing Blades, of course. Match 2 here. All right, this hand's not incredible, but we can play a turn 2 refurb into maybe Glint Hawk. We have a cast down. We have enforcers that if we get like 1 or 2 more lands, we can start putting down. Obviously, getting a blue land into some cryogens or whatever would be ideal, but this one is serviceable. Oh boy, OBS said it was reconnecting, so I don't know if we just lost internet or something. Don't know why this is happening again. And we should be back, ideally. Hi, finally I catch a live stream. Thanks for the content. Just got the Black Sack Guide. Nice work. Thank you so much. I hope the Black Sack Guide is helping. And yeah, hope you've been enjoying the deck. I'm glad that you're able to catch a stream. And I mean, I've really been enjoying doing a lot of Esper recently since I'm trying to tune the list. But as soon as I have a definitive list and don't need to spend quite so much time making it, I'll probably try to stream a little bit more Black Sack on the channel as well, since I know I haven't done as much of that as I would like, or as I'm sure other people would like. Alright, my internet did go out for that split second, but I'm pretty sure we're still waiting on my opponent. I guess it could be me, but I'm now showing no issues, so hopefully they will make a decision here in a second. Alright, there we go. Play a Goldmire Bridge and pass. Well, I've taken 11 seconds of clock, and they've taken nearly 5 minutes. So at this rate, I will have played about 55 seconds by the time they time out. So that'll be cool. I have Tomorrow League on a local store, and I was testing Esper CryoBlade for this season. How have you been enjoying it? I am a big fan. It's been doing really well for me in my locals. And then obviously online as well, though I've been tuning it a little bit more online. But locals, I've had great experiences with it. And I haven't gotten to play Paper Pauper in a couple weeks, and my locals is another week away because I missed last time. So I am itching to get some Paper gameplay in. Someday we'll have an actual match going, but not at this very moment. All right, they are here. Voltaren Epicure. Ooh, Blood Fountain is a good draw because it'll let us turbo out these guys, and it's just something we can play for free. Play the Refurb and pass. So next turn we can get down 1 Enforcer if we don't draw a land. They Lava Dart the Refurb. That is annoying, but it looks like they might just be on 1 land, which is decent for us. If I don't draw anything relevant, I probably will just Glint Hawk this Blood Fountain so I can try to get these Mirror Enforcers going. If we draw an untapped land, I could do that and get them both down this turn, right? Glint Hawk, pick this up, replay it. We'll have 6 artifacts and 1 mana, so yes. Or I could just play them both now. But I think since they're missing a land and we're going to get 2 Enforcers down, I think I just want to go fast here. So pick up our Blood Fountain, play it again, Mirror Enforcer, and Mirror Enforcer. And if they do draw more lands, this cast down can be pretty good against a Kessig Flame Breather or a Gutter Snipe if they get there. And we win match 1. Our opponent said they are double queuing with the challenge, so that's why that they took a while, and I assume why they are just not going to spend extra time that they don't need to on this. We get Blue Blast, Duress, and Compass. I think that's it. I don't think we need the rest of these. Raven's Crime, we could probably cut. Rebuke is probably decent against their draw 2s. Lembas is obviously life gain. Tithing Blade can probably get cut. Insight as well, because they're just very... this is late game, and Tithing Blade is great if you get a Gutter Sniper or a Flame Breather, but if it eats a Sneaky Snacker or an Epicure, it's pretty bad. But I guess Suffocating Fumes, we probably don't need either. I'm just assuming they're Red Madness because we saw Lava Dart and Epicure, although Epicure could be in Red Rally. But Lava Dart's pretty decent indication. All right, I think we'll do this. Grim Bauble I like decently because it can take out a Gutter Snipe. Not Flame Breather, but it's one I'm willing to keep in over the others. I think it's better than Tithing Blade in general. Tithing Blade does have the ability to gain life, but that's only really, really late game and not usually going to happen a ton. And, okay. Pretty similar to the last hand with no blue and a turn 2 refurb, but we have a Lembas as well, which is life gain. It can hopefully find us blue, Skyfisher, and cast down, so we have some blockers, and again, removal for their potential pinger. So I think this looks decent. Start with the Epicure again. They did mulligan it once more. We get a Glint Hawk, so I think we'll probably just play Lembas this turn. If we don't draw anything that changes that, makes it so the refurb is cheaper, and we're looking for land drops. They have a Flame Breather. Only 3 cards in hand. We get a Rebuke, so do I don't want to just cast this down? Next turn, I'm then going to Lembas to look for a land, probably, if I do that. If I do Lembas this turn, I'm probably going to cast it down anyway. Yeah, we might as well just cast it down now, I think. Now if they Gutter Snipe, maybe it's a little worse, but also if they play a land and Gutter Snipe, they're only going to have 2 cards in hand, so then we get to take one with the refurb, so might not be that big of a deal. Whereas if they just had the Flame Breather and they draw a card, they could have 4 spells that could be a lot of damage. But yeah, we'll Lembas. Probably keep any lands that we find, but obviously we prefer blue. If we find a Seed of the Synod, we could Thoughtcast right away, which would be cool. They swing for 1 and another Flame Breather. Oh, we just find it naturally. That's cool. So I could just refurb and hold up Rebuke, which seems decent because I could hold it up for like a draw 2 and that could be devastating for them. I could just Glint Hawk Thoughtcast, but I think the chances they play something decent here are kind of high. I think we'll take the chance and just pass. They have a Lava Dart. Well, that's... I guess we have to counter that unless we... or we can't counter anything, which is not terrible. It keeps this alive. If they want to flashback, they have to sack a mountain. I mean, obviously not what we're wanting to counter, but I'll do it because I want to play a Thoughtcast next turn. I guess I could like Lembas. Then if we don't have a land and this is dead, we actually can't also Rebuke. We kind of forced ourselves to play it on the first thing that they cast, but if the first thing was like a grab the prize, this would have been very, very good. And as is, it's fine. Can't really say I'm a big fan of people double queuing, and for the reason is that I feel like it's kind of rude to your opponent. We've taken 2 minutes, they've taken 11, which sometimes just happens, but they're mono red. They don't really have a reason for that other than trying to double queue. They pitch a Snacker here, 1 card in hand. So I could Glint Hawk or like Skyfisher the refurb, play it, but they could Lava Dart it, which I don't love. So let's just Thoughtcast. I could Lembas first and then Glinthawk, but Blue Blast is pretty good. Now I can still do both. I guess I should have, maybe I should have just played that without playing the land. I mean, Thoughtcast is decent. Because if I had then found a blue untapped land, I could have like held up Blue Blast. Refurb, they're not gonna have a ton of cards. Lembas is expensive. Yeah, let's just pick up the Refurb. I should have attacked first, I guess. They attack with both. I mean, I'll block an Epic here. If they want to dart this, that's fine. Maybe they just have like lethal on us, which would be unfortunate, but Gutter Snipe. Okay, I can Blue Blast that, which I'll do before I refurb, because if I refurb, they could have like another Lava Dart. So I'd rather just get this gone first, then refurb. All right, and we win the match. It only took 2 minutes, 39 seconds. All right, match 3. Another pretty decent hand. Keep seeing this refurb Glinthawk in our opener. Not complaining, just noting. Mulligan to 5 for our opponent. I think we're starting with Bridge, Mistvault Bridge, because if I get a Cryogen Relic, maybe I want to play it. Ooh, looks like we're against, I would say, either the Mirror or Grixis. So I could play Vault of Whispers, Blood Fountain, Refurb, but then I don't have white mana for next turn, and I now have 2 white spells I want to play. So even though this is a little less aggressive against their Mulligan, I think we'll just play the Bridge. This turn that means next turn I could like double refurb them, which could be cool. Could still be either. It could also just be like Demir. Yeah, I mean double refurb versus their Mulligan is pretty brutal, I will say. Bajuka Bog, not super common in Grixis, so that makes me think it might be Esper. And there's a Glinthawk. All right. Against the Mirror with a definitely better draw and no mulligan. Like we're definitely far ahead here, and we get to crack in for a bunch. I could Skyfisher the Refurb to hit him again. That does mean I actually don't get to play the Enforcer, and I think we probably do just want to play this, so let's do this. I could just hold up 8, play a Skyfisher. I don't want to pick up the Refurb, and I don't want to pick up anything else, so I'll just yeah, let's just hold up Insight here. Compass, all right, that fixes their mana problems a little bit. Thoughtcast and a Bauble. Okay, nice that we have the Insight. I think Refurb is the correct hit because it's the one we can pick up for value. Of course, we can pick it up from the graveyard for value too, but no Enforcers from them is nice. Cast down's decent. We'll get in for 6, and just Lembas. Rebuke is decent when they have very little mana. Yeah, we'll keep that. That means I don't want to play Skyfisher unless I want to let them do whatever this turn. No, they don't have anything amazing on the field to pick up. I mean, Bauble to pick up and kill a Glinthawk is decent, but if I can counter a Cryogen Relic, that's where I want to be. Play a Vault and Tithing Blade. Okay, we'll sack the Glinthawk because it can die to the Bauble and just does less damage, obviously. Swing for 4, and I think we just crack this Blood Fountain, take their last card, because that seems rude. Very strong. Card was a Skyfisher. They top deck an Enforcer, which I can just cast down. They can crack a Blood Fountain for Hawk and a Skyfisher, or now it's going to be for an Enforcer. That's fine. We're just getting in for a lot of damage here. And crack this. Yeah, let's just Glinthawk back the Lembas and play the Lembas. I could like Skyfisher, get an extra guy down, but I think we're probably already going to be able to win. But let's just find some value. More Glinthawks. Yeah, I mean, why not? They bring 2 guys back. I can Tithing Blade, Glinthawk, Tithing Blade to wipe them both, and then that should just be the game. Also, they can't, they can play an Enforcer. I was going to say they can't play both of their white spells with just one Compass, but they do, they can get back an Enforcer and a Skyfisher. So they will be able to play them both. They pick up a Tithing Blade. Fair enough. That's not going to stop us, though. Tithing you, Glinthawk, Tithing again, and attack for 6. All right, we definitely had the better start, both in the hand that we kept and also the not mulliganing. But it's a mirror, so they will have Dust to Dust as well. So we should probably bring in negates for those. Plus we have rebukes, so we actually have a lot of ways. We just really need to remember to hold up mana if we can for Dust to Dust. Duress and Last Rites are both decent here too. Bauble, Tithing Blade. Nothing's super bad. I mean, we don't need the fumes. Is Last Rites actually super necessary? It's pretty good if we can just take a couple cards at a key moment. Yeah, cast down is pretty good. I guess we can probably cut Lembas. Bauble can take out their Glinthawks and their Refurbs, so about half. And if they have a heavy Glinthawk and Refurb hand, we can just pick it up 2 or 3 times. It's really strong. Feels like we don't need to ton of cast downs. This is a lot of cards to bring in, but negate's also just good against like Cryogen, removal, so I think those are probably worth it. I guess maybe we don't need Raven's Crime and Last Rites. Prime could be better, could be worse, depending on just who draws better. And I guess if we cut some card draw, I might just want it to be like Thought Casts over the Insight, because it's more about the grind as opposed to the speed. I mean, I don't necessarily need Tithing Blades, but I don't want to get rid of too much removal. Let's just try this. Ooh, well, we have probably a Dust to Dust on turn 3. Not probably, maybe a Dust to Dust on turn 3, but we don't have any black mana. I mean, we're going to keep it. It's probably bad because we just don't have spells we can cast. Glenhawk's the only thing we can cast with this hand, and it's not very good to do so. They do mulligan to 5 again, so not only does that give us time to dirtle a little bit, but also if we get the Dust to Dust off, it probably will just be game. They start with a Vault. Tithing, not the best draw ever, but since they mulligan low, since we didn't keep a very good hand, it's also possible that we will just give them additional time. Refurb, I will get rid of, I guess, just this Tithing Blade. Vault of Whispers is an amazing draw that lets us Dust to Dust next turn, and it lets us refurb this turn. Now I'm feeling pretty comfortable. They also didn't hit white mana, so there's no way we can get Dust to Dusted this turn. They also discard an Ancient Den, which means they probably have another, so they're probably a little flooded here. Okay, let's discard this Glinthawk. Thoughtcast. Oh, they don't have a land. I mean, I'm going to block here because I'm going to just eat their 2 lands, and I want them to have as few permanents as possible. They discarded the Ancient Den when they had no other land is definitely greedy, and I will punish that. All right. We win the match. They did mulligan to 5 twice, so I'm not like, oh my god, that was incredible from us. But they should not have discarded the Ancient Den, I don't think. And, you know, we kept a little bit of a greedy hand because we could have certainly just never drawn a land, but we ended up getting there. We did have a lot of cards that we could draw that were decent, of course, like Cryogen Relic would have been a great draw. Even if we didn't hit a land, obviously we had, you know, 18 lands to hit, and I guess Skyfisher was decent. Maybe those were the only ones that were actually really good, though. In any case. Hey Marsh, how goes the Elvenbred testing? Decent so far. I mean, we're 3-0. We've had a lot of quick matches that have been very lopsided, very uneven for us. Lembas has not really shown up too much, but it's been decent. I've tested a couple times off stream, like in the last couple days, and I have been enjoying it. So I think it's probably good enough to make the cut. This one's not going to be keepable. This one, if I knew I was getting a land of any kind, I could keep it maybe, but it's not going to be keepable either. All right, this is pretty decent. This is the hand you want if you have to go to 5. Despite what I'm saying, obviously Lembas is inferior to a Cryogen, and I don't want to get rid of Thoughtcast, so it might be greedy, but I think we could get rid of Ancient Den. We have a lot of card draw here. Like, I don't think triple land, Cryogen, Glinthawk would be a bad keep either, but this is already a lot of card draw with this that I would just prefer to keep our card draw, I think. Cycle of Genersent. So are they going to be Elves? Masked Vandal. Well, don't you just love to see it? I don't. Let's ban Masked Vandal. It seems way too powerful for my opponents and no one else. Saga Wildling. Alright, I'm guessing Elves. Or Spy. Okay, never mind. It's Spy Walls. Blood Fountain. I mean, we can be dead pretty dang soon already, but I could play Blood Fountain Thoughtcast, but I think I'd rather just get the Relic down. There's a Spy, and they did have a land left in their deck, but they went all the way down to the last 6 cards, so that's not going to matter. Well, look at that. They won the game. It's my favorite match to play against. We do have Negate and Rebuke, so if ever we're going to have a decent shot, I think this would be it. Take out Bauble, take out Insights, Fumes, kills a Quarian, that's about it. Probably one of the Lembas, so we keep some hand attack that can hit just about anything. Graveyard Hate, Negate gets Dread Return, and Metallic Rebuke. I could fall off because of, you know, walls, but could still get a Dread Return in the right situation if we're able to hamper their mana with cast downs. So we were just doing too good, 3-0, that they decided to bring in my arch nemesis. Can't say I'm happy about it. I mean, they did have the perfect... They were incredibly lucky. They had the Genersent into Masked Vandal when we were on Artifacts. Then they had a Spy on turn 4, and they had 1 land left in their deck, and they, you know, they didn't have to get crazy unlucky, but if the land was just halfway through the deck, they would probably not have had enough creatures to kill us. We need white pretty badly, but I do have 3 playable cards that are pretty decent, so we're not going to throw this back. Yeah, they were also on the play, which is super crucial for that So, yeah. They do just mulligan to 3 cards, so maybe we have a shot here. Still not holding my breath. They're just going to Winding Way on turn 2 and make up for the mulligan. They play a forest, they have a land grant, and there's the Winding Way they're going to play. I would love a negate. I would just counter this Winding Way. Nope. Alright, let's Lembas. Try to find our land. Mistfall Bridge is land, but it's not a white source. I think I need a white source pretty badly. So let's get rid of that. Thoughtcast isn't terrible. There's a forest and their Winding Way. And they find Gatecreeper, Spy, Masked Vandal. Those are pretty good ones. Tithing Blade. I guess I just draw 2 with the Thoughtcast. 2 hits to find a land. Didn't find it. Maybe got greedy getting rid of the whatever I got rid of. Yeah, we'll get rid of this Blood Fountain. The Mistfall Bridge. Probably should have kept it, but with the hand that we had, it just looked like it wasn't going to be the most effective. But Gatecreeper into Vandal, or excuse me, Forest. They can't use the Vandal at the moment, which is decent, but also now that we're missing land drops, yeah, I probably should have just kept any land against the deck that has Masked Vandal. Let's see. Unless they top deck the Swamp, they're not going to be able to Spy. Even if they do, they don't have enough creatures. So I could Tithing Blade here to keep their creature count low. That's probably the right call. Actually, no, if I Tithing Blade this, they get to Masked Vandal. I also just want to be greedy and try to hit our land, but we did not. I guess if I get a land at all, I can Last Rites and just take away their hand, which is kind of cool. I will be doing that. They cycle a Troll so that they can Masked Vandal. Yep. They failed to find a Swamp card, so they already have... No, they put the Swamp in the graveyard. Oh. They hit the 1 Swamp off the Winding Way. So they might not be able to Spy. We get our land. This is interesting. They have no more Swamps, so they have to find an X-Bane Guardian. There it is. So we cast that down, and they shouldn't be able to Spy. Oh, I clicked. Fantastic. Basically, I think we just lose then. I clicked the wrong card. I meant to click the cast down, and I accidentally Tithing Bladed. That is unfortunate. Yeah, we got to get a punt counter, apparently. There's a Caretaker and another Vandal. I mean, I guess the Vandal was going to be pretty brutal regardless, but now we can't kill the X-Bane. Yup, big punt. 10 draws and 1 land. Yup. I mean... We've lost 2 lands to their Vandals, and I did put 1 to the bottom with the Lembas, which I should not have. So I guess it's all our fault. Okay, I assume they're just not spying because they have at least, because they know they have 1 land left, and so they're trying to play it carefully, which makes sense. The Caretaker can also make black, so casting down the Guardian doesn't prevent that necessarily. I could just Refurb an Enforcer here. I don't have white mana for the Charm. Cast down's making them, could take away 3 mana. I think we just Refurb an Enforcer. I mean, I could still get out of this if they don't decide... No, they discard a Spy, so they must have a second one. Or they have a Dread Return in hand. If I can get a Last Rites, or if I can get a land to Last Rites, I could take away their cards, which could be good. They also have this Wildling attacking in. They have another Wildling. Okay, I guess they're just trying to go the old-fashioned way. I could cast down one of these guys. Seeing as this is what's killing us now, unfortunately. Clearly, they're not going for Spy, so I think I just cast one of these down. I guess I can attack with our Enforcer. I guess I could cast this down and attack for 6. They get in for 4. And then when they attack next turn, if I have nothing else, I can Cryogen the other Wildling. Yeah, I mean, this... feels weird, but clearly the Guardian is not really what we need to kill at the moment. I mean, it still could be good, because if they get a Lead the Stampede or Winding Way, they're going to go off, but I'm also just dying to these Wildlings in like 3 turns, so there's the Winding Way. There's a Gatecreeper Vine, or just a Spy, or just another Wildling. Oh, that's interesting that's what they decide to do. I'm going to Thoughtcast, and another Thoughtcast. I guess I'm not really beating them in, so let's just pass. We will take 6. Here's the Spy, mill us, and a Vandal. Gets rid of Enforcer. It's always the same. When you have no Compass, you have the Lembas and does not fix mana. When you have the Compass, you get 2 of them and does not do anything. Yeah, that has been my experience lately. I've tried cutting Compass, and then it feels like... I mean, I'm getting mana screwed partially because we've drawn poorly, but partially because they've had 3 Vandals. So it's not 100% like, oh, if I had Compass, it'd be perfect. Or rather, just because I don't have Compass, it's not perfect. Like, they did have the interaction. But yes, it does feel like if I have Compass... Well, and also in my matches recently, every time I've played against red, I have not drawn Compass for the life gain. And then every time I play against anything else, I draw both of them, even with only 2, and then yeah, I run out of cards because I have no value. So it has been quite frustrating. There's a Raven's Crime, that's useless. I guess I could tap this down and I could chump. I'm taking 4. I don't think I can get out of this, unfortunately. I mean, I am also open to the possibility that I'm just terrible playing against Spy. I think that's a very real possibility. But I also generally just don't know how to play better, or like what to put in. Oh, look, we could be against more Spy, or maybe it's just walls. I could have kept that Mist Vault Bridge early. I fully agree with that. But I don't think that would have made that big of a difference, and otherwise we just got triple Vandal, which is a reason not to play artifact lands, but generally I like them. This is also kind of a crazy start. Tithing Blade is not looking very good. I probably will still cast it. If I had another Caretaker, I mean, that's not the best thing ever. Or I could just refurb one of their cards, and then next turn I can maybe refurb the other one. I guess they drew a Caretaker, which means that killing a Caretaker at least makes them not be able to use it this turn. Yeah, let's Tithing Blade. I could also play a Relic, but theoretically, if they don't have a lot going on, I could just Tithing Blade a couple turns in a row, and maybe we're okay. Artifact lands are quite powerful, but there's also powerful counterplay. Yeah, for sure. And I think there should be, because as someone who likes playing artifact lands, it's annoying that Masked Vandal is such a powerful card that you can play in your main deck that just like hoses a bunch of our decks. But yeah, I understand. And they got 2 Vandals, is that right? Yeah, they just turned up 2 of them. So we'll lose that land again, but I guess I can take a card from them. They cycled this Generous Ent too. Discard a Caretaker. I also just think I don't care too much. I don't care as much if I get my lands blown up post sideboard. It's the main deck, like I said, Vandals that are really annoying, but also it's that the decks that play Masked Vandal are generally the decks I already dislike playing against. Elves, Walls, and Spy. I guess not normal Walls, doesn't play Masked Vandal usually. Those are already the decks I dislike, so it's even more annoying. And they just lead the Stampede into 5 spells. They have a Mesmeric Fiend in their main deck, so I assume this is also just Spy, but they've had a bunch of lands naturally, so they probably can't be Spot. Also, they have a Sentinel here. I don't know. And they wind away into a Wildling and a Sentinel. Mesmeric Fiend. Take a Thought Cast. Sentinel. And I guess we'll pass. It is Spy. They just naturally... I guess they land granted for 1 land. What am I talking about? Look at that. We're dead. I mean, we'll try the same stuff again. They're playing Sentinels. Maybe that's the reason Bauble's okay. I didn't see Quarian Ranger, but there's probably in there. Alright, let's see if we can ever win a game against Spy. Not if we keep opening 1-landers. I guess we'll hope to draw something, because we actually have a reasonable mana. I guess I'll just keep the most colors in case these get blown up. Land grant. Finds a forest. Another land grant. Shows they play this. And this should be their hand, I believe. 2 Masked Vandals, Generous Ent, lead the Stampede. I will play a Blood Fountain. Masked Vandal. I've been thinking about this interaction for a while. I'm pretty sure, yeah, they can target it. In response, they can use these 2 to cycle Generous Ent to exile a land. It does work the way I thought it worked, because this doesn't ask you to have the creature until it resolves. So I'll play a bridge and pass. They have a troll, so they can Vandal again. And they can Wall of Roots. I mean, Metallic Rebuke isn't a terrible draw. I can get this lead the Stampede, I guess. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No, I can't, because they have 1, 2, 3. So I guess that resolves then. Lands, am I right? Yeah, you're right. Rebuke would have been nice before, so we could have kept one of these around. I will counter this Fiend. Attack for 2. I will play pretty much the only thing I got to play. Land is decent. They swing for 3. Probably just play a Wildling. They're going to go for the beatdown as well, I would assume. Yep. Now we draw Rebuke. Fantastic. Pick up a Cryogen. Thoughtcast. If I Thoughtcast, I can't Rebuke. Same with Cryogen, but oh well. Can't really sit around and do nothing. There's their battlement. Swing. They're going to hit for 4. I'll block here. Start with a Thoughtcast. We have a cast down. I also have a Glint Hawk, so I can play that to block here. I guess I cast down the battlement because it taps for 3. And then I can also hold up a Rebuke. Pick this up. Let's see, do I need to kill this? I mean, they have 4, 5. Yeah, I mean, I guess Rebuke's useless if this is still around, pretty much. Also, I now have this covered, so I don't really need to kill it. Maybe I save that for a Generous Ent or whatever, but I guess I have the Rebuke for the Generous Ent, which we will use, because they only have 2 mana, so they use this, I believe. Attack with everything. I guess I could double block a Vandal if I just want to kill one, and not lose a Glint Hawk, but I got on to 6. That doesn't seem very good. I'll double block here. Plus, I guess I have Blood Fountain to buy back a Glint Hawk. Refurb is decent. Play a Relic. Bridge. Play another relic. Okay. Refurb them. Get an Enforcer down. Discard a Wildling. And we'll pass Winding Way. Finds a Spy. So we probably just die to that now. The fact that they can just go from one of the game plans to the others was pretty annoying too, because the beatdown was working, so I had to focus on that, and now they just kill me with Spy. Well, I had fun in the matches where I wasn't playing against Spy. I mean, what do you even do against a Vandal? Like a Rebuke. I mean, if they're on the play, there's nothing to do. Even if I'm on the draw, or I'm on the play, I guess I could Blood Fountain and then hold up a Rebuke the next turn if I have an untapped land. I don't know. We also didn't see a negate against them. We didn't see a Thraben Charm, so all of our sideboard we didn't find. Well, I don't have any grand conclusions about that league, so I'm just gonna resubmit. Let's go again and try not to play against a Spy deck. Would be my preference. I guess we'll keep it. It's really heavy on removal, which could be good against the right opponent, like a Terror or something, but it could be bad against anybody else. Not anybody else. It could be bad against quite a few decks. But I don't really like to mulligan decent mana. They do mulligan to 4, which either means very unlucky or they're just another broken deck. But if it is Spy, you know, I actually have a bunch of removal spells for their creatures, so maybe that would be decent this time. Looks like it might just be unlucky because they have a mountain, mono red perhaps, red green, Arbor Elf. Okay, well, Gruul is a deck that removal is pretty good against. I guess I Tithing Blade for sure. I guess I pick it up with the Glint Hawk. If they just play like a Repurposer or something, it's kind of a waste, but it lets me get a Glint Hawk down to pressure them, and if they play like a Jewel Thief or another Arbor Elf or something, it's not bad. There's another Arbor Elf. We get a Sky Fisher. I will Tithing Blade them, and I guess I'll Glint Hawk. Now if they play like a Writhing Chrysalis, it's again not very good, but if their last card's like an Avenging Hunter, well, they probably can't play that anyway, but there's the Chrysalis. Blood Fountain almost lets me get down an Enforcer. Well, I could play the Enforcer, but I kind of just want to cast this down. Well, if I cast it down, I get in for 4. I could play a Mere Enforcer, and then next turn I could cast it down and get in for more, but they have blockers for the Enforcer. Plus, I don't have the mana to definitively double cast down next turn, so I think I'd rather just take 1 this time. This is another match that I was mentioning that I don't necessarily feel the most strongly about. Boarding Party into Rumble. I mean, their mulligan obviously helps us, but in general, it's rough. Their Ponza is also good to know about. I assume they take the Altasaur here. No, they go for the Wild Growth. I mean, they have something else in hand that they might want to play. Pachuco Bog. I think we're going to attack. I am going to Tithing Blade. It allows me to play the Enforcer for 1 mana. Them losing the spawn could mean they can't play like a 5 or a 6 drop, and then Enforcer could trade with this. Plus, it means that if next turn they do end up playing like, whatever, then I could pick up the Tithing Blade with the Skyfisher and play it again. So, several reasons why I think it's okay here. Hey, back to CryoBlade, loving it. I am indeed back on CryoBlade, and it's, it's going all right. We had 3 very quick, good matches. Well, good for us. Our opponents got a little unlucky and stuff like that. Then we played against Spy twice and got crushed because I'm apparently incapable of winning against Spy. Not to mention, now we're against Gruul, and Gruul is also another tougher matchup for me in general. But I think we're okay here. We're going to get in for 8, put them to 2. We have 4 lethal attackers, so they have to like cascade into a Chrysalis or something. Thraben Charm can kill creatures or enchantments. They are Ponza. I said monsters, but we saw Thermokarst. For that reason, it's like, oh, should I bring in Duress? It could be really important to keep our lands early, but otherwise not. Last Rites is a weird one that I actually have been kind of liking against them. If they get a little stuck on mana and have cards, or if we're able to just play a Lost Rites on turn 3. If we can take all of the cards from their hand, even if I have to discard some valuable cards, it seems pretty decent. Fumes hits a bunch of Spawn and Arbor Elf, but that's about it. Grim Bauble, I've kept in previously because, like, killing the turn 1 Arbor Elf is so important, but I also just don't, like, it's just bad after that. Back to negates, I see Envelop too narrow. Yeah, I mentioned at the beginning of the stream that I think Envelop is good for the few things that we really want it for, but there are enough other decks that negate hits that I think is really important. Obviously, High Tide is a big one, but also, like, I played against Turbo Fog yesterday, and I couldn't bring in Envelop, whereas negate would have been good there. If you play against Cycle Storm or Ruby Storm or any, like, random Storm deck, or Tron deck or anything like that, it's pretty good for. A lot of these decks are not super well played, but there are enough of them that if you pile them all up together, I think it's reasonable enough that yeah, I think the negates are probably worth it. But then again, you know, this is another match where like negates okay against, you know, land destruction, and envelop would be a lot better. I don't think it's really one we still want to bring in, but like it's a thought, I suppose. Tithing Blade is also another one where it's like sometimes it's very good, but as soon as they make spawn, it's really bad. So I think I can cut that. I'm just bringing in these three. Blue Blast. I guess Blue Blast, they're probably going to bring in addition to, I guess the Glamour is probably what they're going to have. Maybe Cast into the Fire, but it's probably going to be Glamour. If this just hits Boarding Party, I don't really care for that. I guess Compass is not a bad one to bring in because it makes it harder for them to cut us off colors, specific colors. So the life gain's not super relevant, but like, even if they're able to keep us down to like 2 lands, if we can, it helps us fix our mana, I guess. And this one's okay. It is 2 tap lands, so it's slow, and then if these get blown up, it's pretty rough. They do survive Ponza spells, but they don't survive Deglammers, obviously. And there's the Arbor Elf. Let's just play a Bridge and pass. Wild Growth and Utopia Sprawl. It's a lot of mana next turn. Oh, and a Mountain. They didn't have a Deglammer, which is nice, but we have nothing. We have this, and then next turn they have a 7-drop. Maybe, yeah, 7-drop if they want it. Dude, sometimes Pauper's crazy. You draw, like, the perfect draw, and you could just be playing a 7-drop on turn 3. And, you know, it's my bad. I didn't have interaction for 1 mana. I guess if I had an untapped land there, I would have cast down the Arbor Elf. So maybe I should be playing more untapped lands, but starting with a Rumble is honestly not the worst thing ever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They could get a Boarding Party and play it. They choose Forest. Okay. I guess they could play an Altasaur then, if they already had it. They already have a Boarding Party. Whatever. They go into an Acid Moss. Luckily, we have 2 indestructible lands, so that's just a Rampant Growth, but they also just have a 6/3. So now I could cast down the Arbor Elf, but they already have 7 mana, so it doesn't matter. I could cast this down to try to survive, but the chances are they have something else are pretty high. I guess we'll play a Lembas to try to look for another land. That's not it. That's not it either. I'll get rid of a Skyfisher. These decks are going to make me go back to Jund, just so that I have, like, a decent matchup against everything. Not that I've ever been, like, off Jund, but, like, I feel like I cannot win against some of these decks, and Jund at least has game against everything. This is 14 damage. I am dead on turn 4. Oh, I guess we won game 1, didn't we? Yeah, like I said, Bauble's just too important. Killing that first elf. I mean, I guess we get black mana. It's decent here. Thraben Charm can destroy a land, or an enchantment, but these lands also blow up to any of their stuff, so there's a Sprawl. Vault of Whispers. I am just gonna blow up their enchantment so that they cannot Ponza us on turn 2. They'll at least have to wait an extra turn, which allows us to develop out like a Refurb and a Cryogen or something. Or, you know, they could just do Glamour or whatever. Relic, we get an Ancient Den. And there's the Acid Moss. Refurb and Glint Hawk. Do I Glint Hawk the Cryogen or the Refurb? Refurb's obviously more aggressive here, but the chances they have like a Reacher are not too difficult for them to have, although we have a Cast Down. Relic draws us more cards, which can find us more lands, which is nice, but if they just play like 1 spell next turn, like a land and a spell, then we can maybe take their last card. I think we're going to go for the Refurb. There's a Thermokarst and a Deglammer. Fun stuff. I mean, Compass, not the worst draw ever. Yeah, a bit ridiculous for sure. You get an Arbor Elf. We'll draw another with our Refurb. It's our only play. Glint Hawk. I mean, when we made them discard, they chose to keep their land destruction, 2 land destruction spells over a Boarding Party. I guess they probably drew one of them, or maybe they drew their Forest and they couldn't play the Boarding Party at the time, but that is interesting. Avenging Hunter. I mean, I wish I had a basic in my deck. I would love to draw an untapped land so I can cast this down, take the initiative, and have a blocker too. They're gonna attack. I could block and trade. They already have 7 mana, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, a land is better than not a land. We're still gonna take the initiative, but then they're gonna hit us for 6. I could Glint Hawk or Thoughtcast here. I think we Thoughtcast, because if I hit an untapped land, I can also Glint Hawk, which could be pretty good. Also, just digging more quicker is pretty decent. Raven's Crime is not super relevant. I might as well hit him for 4, because I'm not blocking this, and it's just 1 more damage here. Plus, they are lower than us. Theoretically, we could just race here because our like if they draw poorly, we can cast this down. And yeah, no basic in our deck. It was something I mentioned at the top of the stream, was that I've been thinking about putting a basic in our deck because I've been seeing a lot more Gruul. I went from like not playing against it at all to like 2 times a league now, it feels like. Yeah, we have a Bajuka Bog as our only non-artifact land. So, like I said, I've thought about it, and the more I'm seeing Gruul, the more I think it might be the right choice. But haven't haven't done it quite yet, but I do think they might force me to. They go for a scry, which makes sense because they're top decking, but not usually. Yeah, not gonna trap. I think it's the right choice for them. I think most Gruul players are just like, oh, I gotta forge, but like, you know, it does not look very good here if they forge. If I can like kill one of these, which I can. They did scry both to the bottom, notably. So now I think I just take the initiative with this refurb, and then I can hold up, well, Glinthawk becomes a 4/4, and then I can hold up Cast Down for this and block this. We also have a Rebuke, which is decent. So if they do draw something pretty bad, I can do something about it. I mean, we're in a decent spot here. That is what I was hoping they would not find. Rumble, not the worst. I will let that resolve. They find a Chrysalis, which they could play this turn, this Arbor Elf. I could counter this and then block here, but then they trample, they still take the initiative. So I think I'm going to trade the Glinthawk for the boarding party and then cast down the Hunter probably. But then they get a Chrysalis through. Let's see. Their next Undercity is just create a treasure. So I could counter this, block here, then I can cast down the Hunter. I take 5, but then I cast down the Hunter and play a Glinthawk so I can block the Arbor Elf. Yeah, so I think I want to counter this actually. I think this is better. Just because if I don't counter it, then they have a 4/5, plus it has reach, so I can't. Oh yeah, if I have to cast down one of their attackers, then I'm not casting down the Chrysalis, which means I can't get in. Definitely think this is better. Might as well block the one dealing more if I'm going to cast this down anyway. Yeah, they get to make a treasure, or they could like goad my guy so they can draw a card instead of make a 4/1 next turn, which is something they could do as well. So now I can take the initiative. I trap them. They go to 3. Then I have Glinthawk on Relic. Cast down the Hunter. I can block here. So again, they have to draw something pretty good. So let's do that. Pick up a Relic. Untapped land. Doesn't matter this turn, so we'll just play the tap land. Hi there, Ben. How's it going? What do you think about Mardu or Boros or Jav versions? Do you think Esper is best, or do you just like Cryogen for now? Acid Moss is not a big deal. We get to cast this down, and we're going to get to win. I have enjoyed Esper best recently, so that's the reason that I've been playing it a lot. Also, it's just a new deck that I've, me and other people have been brewing, so it's just fun to do. I do think when Esper first came out and I started playing it, it felt significantly better than Orjav, because, as I've explained a few times before, Orjav is a great deck, but its biggest issue is that it doesn't have premium card draw. It has to play like Eviscerator's Insights that it doesn't really want to sacrifice anything to, or Thraben Inspectors and stuff like that. And then Cryogen obviously just gives it a really good draw engine. As the meta has shifted a little bit, and I think people have been able to know how to play against Esper a little bit better. Feels like there's a lot of artifact hate in the format right now. Obviously there always is, but it feels like there's more than like when it's lesser popular or whatever. And so this version I've been taking a lot of removal to my lands, which is pretty brutal. So not having to deal with that with Boros, or at least not as much with Boros or Orjav, is really strong. This hand is acceptable. So yeah, I think there's benefits to not having artifact lands, obviously. I will say I tried Mardu a couple weeks ago, and I played another league with it that I believe is going up on Sunday, that I've been trying to play, because it's also a very fun deck. You obviously have different things you get to do, and playing red is really strong. To be honest, as much Gruul as I've been going up against, I feel like me not having red is hugely detrimental, because I don't have Krark, so I don't have a way to wipe their board. Now people were saying that originally when I was like, oh, Esper's really good and stuff, is that like, oh, there's no Krark, and I was like, well, there's not really a deck that I need a Krark for at the moment. I feel like yeah, it's good against elves, but I have Drown in Sorrow against elves, but there's really no other way to deal with Gruul, I feel like consistently, than a Krark, or like Crypt Rats if you're doing that with in a deck, or just having a million removal spells. I think Gardens would probably eat them up pretty easily. Anyway, so not having red has been hugely detrimental with that coming back a little bit. As far as just Boros and Orjav, I think they're both very good decks still. I am lesser, as much difficulty as I've been having the last few leagues with Esper. I'm no longer like, oh my god, it's the best and you should always be playing it. It is very fun, but it's just been so rough recently. So I don't really know what the best deck is. To be honest, it's probably still Boros Synth, which is, just been the mainstay for a while, like the main deck. But I think they all have their merits. I think this one certainly has better... the card quality in this is better than Orzhov, I think, because we just replace a lot of the bad cards with good blue cards. But obviously, the cost of that is very great, with our mana being a lot worse and also being much more susceptible to artifact hate. So yeah, I think, you know, play whichever one you enjoy the most. I still think this deck is good, but it's definitely rough right now. Hope that answers some of that question. Lembas over Compass today. Yes, I have been wanting more card draw. So that's what we're doing. Hello, Veneris. How's it going? We're at 13 and they have no cards in hand, so I'm feeling pretty good about this one so far. I guess they did Clockwork. They found another Clockwork, which they didn't cast yet. Suffocating is always great against Rally. I don't necessarily think that's something I need to hold up this turn. If they get like a Rally off the top, I just have blockers. So I also have a cast down here. I think I'll just swing for 2. Swear this isn't a meme. I'm thinking about Raven of Fell Omens in my list. Okay. How many crimes can we commit? Obviously, Raven's Crime combos very nicely with it. That's a classic. You got Bauble, Cast Down, if you play Rebukes, which I'm just trying out in this list, or 5 with the Bajuka Bog. I'm only seeing 5 ways in my list, well, 7 with the Rebukes, to hit a crime. Tithing Blade is each opponent, isn't it? Each opponent sacrifices a creature, so it doesn't target them, right? Am I missing something? Each opponent, and then the craft is going to be upkeep. It's going to be each opponent as well. Run Thraben Charm, sure. That's another couple. I think I could just take this one and probably get it with the Fumes later, so we'll just cast this down. Or I could just, I don't need to take the damage, I guess. Thraben as well, but I'm just going to assume, because that most people aren't playing these, you might not have these, so that would be 7. Refurb's also each opponent. If Refurb and Tithing was target, I think there's some more merit to it. And I always love interesting cards like that, but I'm only seeing those like 5 to 7 cards, so it seems rough. Rats, okay, you crushed my dreams. I'm sorry. I don't want you to I don't want you to try playing that and then having your opponent call you out on it. I'm trying to save you. Annoying each opponent stapled on everything new now. Yeah, it's, as someone who does like Commander, I like that these cards are scale for Commander, because like Refurb you could play in a cool Commander deck and it would be just unplayable if it was just target opponent. But the fact that they then made a keyword that cares about targeting your opponent, yeah, it is kind of annoying, because yes, if Tithing Blade and Refurb both said target and you had 6 more, I think that'd be pretty reasonable. I guess I will just block here. I'm at 13. They have a bolt they can cast. Yeah, we'll just block. I do have a 2-turn clock on them, but with the bolt in exile, I just don't think there's a reason to. Yeah, and they do that. Draw. And also obsoleted stuff like White Leyline, which gives hexproof to you. Yes, that is also true. Just another little thing that is kind of annoying. I fully agree with that. Lembas for Skyfisher. Sure, let's just pick that back up. I don't think we need the life gain this turn, or the suffocating or anything. I think we're going to be just... Alright, so red Rally, we get Blue Blast, Drown in Sorrow, Compass, Prime, Tithing, go away, as do probably just cast downs. Rebuke can still be decent here, I think. I think I'd prefer the card draw from like Insight over just a cast down when they have just a million creatures. So yeah, I mean, I like Raven of Fell Omens a lot. I've played a couple different, basically Golgari Gardens variants, playing Raven's Crime and Raven of Fell Omens, and I think they're very sweet. Relic of Progenitus is a nice way to make your opponent lose a life every single turn, even on your opponent's turn. But you also need to have at least, I don't know, 15 to 20 ways to target your opponent pretty consistently for it to be very good. This hand has a turn 2 refurb, and that's like it. Yeah, this does not seem very good to me. It's close, but this is a little better. I mean, we have the Fumes, which is of course an all-star. I guess we put away Mere Enforcer. How do you feel about a 1-of Palace Sentinels? That is an interesting question. I mean, we certainly have the creatures to protect the Monarch. We have pretty good amount of removal to also protect the Monarch. And I do love 1-ofs. All right, they're on 1 land. Yeah, but it's a pretty good 1-lander. Because I could Skyfisher, but that doesn't feel very good. So we're going to have to take another hit and just try to find blue mana here. I don't need a Bajuka Bog. Yeah, so Monarch could be okay. I'm trying to think. I can't play Enforcers. I don't have blue. I guess we just start playing this, hoping it survives a bolt. And we have Fumes next turn, but that's not great. It's a little awkward because of how this deck uses its mana. Yeah, I think, I don't know. I mean, I always want more card draw. So like part of me is like, well, we have plenty of card draw. We just pretty true at this point, but it doesn't mean you couldn't have one card that could be a huge engine. By the way, I won my LGS tourney the other day. Very nice. Playing Esper, I think you mentioned you were going to be doing. I'm very glad to hear that. Swing with the Percussionist, we're going to block. Yep, Esper, very nice. You get to crime anybody out for a massive amount of cards. They have a Percussionist here, so I could Lembas, which is what I want to do, or I could hold up a Fumes. If 2 mounts, they're only going to get to play 1. Fumes doesn't hit everything here, but if they have like a Bushwhacker or a Rally, it's pretty important. I think we're going to hold up Fumes. Lost 1 against Flickertron, won first game, ran out of time second. Yeah, Tron will do that to you. No crime waves, unfortunately. It was all not even worth it. I'm still thinking about this Palace Sentinels. It seems like it might be worth trying. I will say our deck's already very slow, so like another card... It's another card, I will say I've been thinking about like sequencing a lot, because I've been trying the Jolted Awake, and I'm not trying it in this version now. Exile my bridge. Well, I guess I'm gonna use this before I might not be able to for a little while, even though it only gets 2 of these guys. So Jolted Awake, a couple commenters mentioned, I think very reasonably, that the core Skyfishers and Glinthawks already need to be sequenced after an artifact, which is true. And then Jolted Awake generally needs to come after a core Skyfisher or something has died, which is also very true. So I've been thinking about sequencing a lot, like, oh, can you afford to have all these cards that have to follow this line of cards, and then these that have to follow another? Palace Sentinels is like, it doesn't need to follow anything, but it's also just, it's not coming down till turn 4, realistically maybe turn 5, because we have a lot of tap lands, maybe even later, I don't know. It's definitely one I would have to try. Oof, they reckless into 2 mountains, which is nice to see. I do think the list is, as expressed previously, it's already so difficult to find slots that I don't know where you'd find a slot for a Palace Sentinels. Like, trying it out, you can just cut whatever, right? But then if it works, it's like, oh, well, what do I permanently cut from this deck, which is tough. But it seems like it'd be interesting and worth trying. Completely stomped Coggates. Yeah, I had a really good match against Coggates the other day, which is sweet. Dragon Star is not bad. Okay, so they have 2 mountains in exile they get to play. Good for them. And a Tomb Raider and a Cast in the Fire. I mean, I think we just refurb double Enforcer. Wait, refurb is 5. I can't double Enforcer. So I might as well just refurb, hold up Blue Blast for the Cast in the Fire. Then they play their guys, and then I Drown in Sorrow. I'll lose my refurb, but I can live with that, I think. They discard a Rally. That's good. Could also Cryogen here. But then if they cast my blue into the fire, it's just really kind of rough. So I'm just going to pass. Coming around on the 4 Compasses main deck, going down to 3, adding the 2 Blood Fountains. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I've been playing, except for these lists today, I've been playing about 2 Compasses in my deck, and I've been seeing both of them in every deck where value is all that matters. Every game that value is what matters. And then I've been I've never been seeing them in any match where I'm against red, which is very frustrating. Oh, okay, they're actually trying to ping this, which I don't care about because the Drown in Sorrow is going to wipe this anyway, and then ping this so I can't block here, but they actually don't have an artifact, so they can't attack with either of these, so I just don't block. I go to 10, and then I Drown in Sorrow. This is bad for my Mirror Enforcers coming down, but I think it's kind of fine. Coggates won a game on turn 3, Dust to Dust. Yeah, that does happen. Okay, this I would like to keep alive here, and it lets me use my mana. If they have another Bolt for it, or Blast, whatever, that's fine. Now I get to Drown in Sorrow, and we're at 9, and they are top decking. Tempting to just Thought Cast, but I think we just take the safe line here. Glinthawk's good. Oh, I missed this one. Dropping the artifact lands. I'm not really an affinity deck, just running refurbs. Oh, they get a Gorilla Shaman. That is annoying. Yeah, if you're not running Enforcers, you don't need to run anywhere near as many artifact lands. So that's reasonable. I guess I just Cryogen. If they top deck pretty well, like a Bushwhacker or something, we're in kind of a tough spot. I guess this lets them blow up the Lembas if they want to spend their whole turn doing that. But whatever. If they want to blow up the Cryogen, they can too, but then I just draw a card. So Blue Blast is a decent draw. Next turn I can like Glinthawk and then Blue Blast. Yep, they blow up the Lembas. Goldmire. Alright, play this. I'm not going to care about the Gorilla Shaman at this point unless I start seeing Mirrodin lands that I want to keep, but that does not look to be the case. So I'll probably just hold this for a Bushwhacker or something, maybe even a Rally. Oh look, there's a Bushwhacker. Let's counter it. One day these Mirror Enforcers will hit the field. Ideally it'll be before I'm dead. Like a Blood Fountain would be a good draw just so I can get these down. Could Thoughtcast, but I kind of want more creatures on the field because of what their deck does. So I might as well do this so I can Glint Hawk. Rebuke. Ancient Den just gets blown up, so let's not do that. And we'll pass. I don't really need to attack as long as I don't die. I'm gonna win this game. So let's just not die. Gorilla Shaman, power crept by Bridges. Yeah. Gorilla Shaman is definitely one that we've seen a lot less of. Still very good, but a lot of bridges going around. Probably just Lembas, but they can blow up Lembas. If I Lembas here, it's 5 mana, or 5 artifact land. It's 5 artifacts, what am I saying? Alright, let's play Lembas. If they want to blow it up in response to me targeting it, then I could just gain the life. Not a big deal. If they don't, I probably will play this land so I can get out 2 Enforcers, and then if they blow it up, it's not a big deal. I don't really need more Thoughtcasts, to be honest. Yeah, so let's just play this, play an Enforcer for 1. Oh, I guess they blow this up, the next Enforcer also costs 1. Oh, they floated 5, but did not do anything with it. Interesting. Respectable choice. So now I can hold up Rebuke, which seems like the right play. Plus hold up cracking a Lembas. If they want to blow that up, I will gain 3 life. Alright, I win the match. See, these are the matches I enjoy. Please stop making me play against combo decks. I don't prefer it. I don't know how to do it well. I just want mid-range and aggro and control. That's it. That's all the format should ever be. It's all any format should. Just good, clean Magic. Alright, we have a lot of lands here, and it just doesn't do anything for a million turns. I think we gotta get rid of this one. This one is okay. This Bajuka Bog looking pretty annoying with this refurb. We'll get rid of 1 Lembas probably. Island, alright. Bridge is good. Alright, let's start taking bets. Do we think it's High Tide, Terror, or Fairies? I'm feeling High Tide. It's been a while since I've played against one, and I was just complaining about combo decks, so this would be my due. There's a Ponder. High Tide doesn't usually do Ponder, right? It does Brainstorm and Preordain, so maybe that means Terror, which would be my preference in general, but also because of this Bajuka Bog. Whatever I cast probably gets counterspelled, so let's not cast anything. If it is High Tide, not casting anything is obviously super wrong, but I feel like it's probably Terror, so let's not play into their counterspells. Not yet, anyway. Now I could, like, refurb Cryogen, and then I could Bajuka Bog them away, so at least they're not, like, building up stuff. Sure. If they want to spend 2 counterspells, it's not the end of the world. There's 1. There are 2. Get rid of them so it's pretty fair exchange. Alright. Thought Scour, Mental Note Island, Brainstorm. And there's a Serpent with no protection up. How foolish of them. So I could just Tithing Blade. I have a couple options. I could Tithing Blade, Skyfisher to pick up the Tithing Blade so I have another one, which is nice. I could Tithing Blade, Skyfisher the Bog, blow up their graveyard again, or I could just like Tithing Blade Cryogen. Also, Tithing Blade might not even be the pick because this is the one without wards, so maybe I just cast down. That probably is better, in which case I'm not going to Skyfisher Bog. Yeah, it does feel decent, but I also feel like, I don't know, while they just had to spend 4 mana on a Serpent, so they didn't have ways to fill their graveyard. So if they want to do that again, 4 mana for another Serpent, I'm kind of okay with that because I just have the Tithing Blade to follow up. So for that reason, I kind of just want to like cast down a Cryogen. Or I guess I should probably Lembas because I could maybe find a land easier, especially if Skyfish is mostly going to be used for Tithing Blade. I think it might be greedy, might be the wrong play, but I think with the Tithing Blade that I have, card draw seems good. The fact that I'm kind of okay if they just play out another guy, I'm just gonna do it this way. Well, 5 mana for Alorian is fine too. Refurb. Now I don't necessarily hate, since everything just changed, doing the Bog, but I also have an opportunity to like Cryogen Skyfisher. I probably don't need to do that. I could refurb them and then Bog. That feels pretty good. I think we'll do that. I could also just refurb them again, but then if they play like 3 terrors or whatever, it feels kind of bad. Let's just get rid of their graveyard to stave off those terrors. Another Lorien. Okay. Well, they have a lot of cards now. And there's a Delver of Secrets, which I guess I'm going to have to get through for a Tithing Blade probably at some point anyway. Or I could just leave, I could maybe trade one of these. Yeah, I guess I don't really, Tithing Blade's our only removal spell, so I don't really want to use it on this. So I think I'll just leave back like a Familiar. I'm going to Insight here, the Cryogen. We have more Cryogens, and I would very much like to hit a land drop, and that allows me to do so. Just attack for 2. They don't flip Delver, which is nice. I'll still trade it for the refurb if they attack in. They ponder. We also have another Skyfisher, so that could be double blade. If we need one more mana to do it in the same turn, but it could be double blade. It could be another bog. Ponder and mental note away 2 islands. Nice to see. Brainstorm. They have another Delver and another with different art, and all their lands have different art. What is this? Suffocating Fumes would be an incredible pull, although I'm still going to block here, I think. I mean, it's going to be a 3-2 at some point, probably. Yeah, I think we'll block. If we do get the Fumes, it makes it worse, but, like, the chances of actually getting that are pretty low. They have 1 counterspell up, maybe 2, I guess, if they're spell pierces. 1, 2, 3, 4 spells in Grave. I think we'll just Thought Cast to start. Rebuke is good, so I can get anything through. I'm going to Blood Fountain. I kind of wanted to anyway, but this also gives me the artifacts to hold up the Rebuke, assuming it's not the one that gets countered, and now I can do either one of these. I probably just Cryogen. I don't want to Tithing Blade these still, and I'd like to pick up one of these two with a Skyfisher, so let's just Cryogen Relic. Spell Pierce that. Do I care about that? I have another Cryogen, but unless they have another Lorien, which they've already used 2, what else am I gonna, like, Metallic here? I guess it can be used on another counterspell later. I'll just let it go. And I'm going to pass. I'm not going to trade 2 damage for potentially 6, especially since I would like to get through these for the Tithing Blade. And they Thought Scour on the end step. I'm not going to counter that either. Mental Note. That is enough spells for them to get 1 mana terrors. They find a Mental Note. Brainstorm. Swing for 6. We will trade. There's a Serpent and a Terror. We counter this, but they just pay 3. They have a Mental Note. Only 1 other card. Alright, let's let it go. Kind of wanted them to play another Terror that I could counter. So here, if they don't have a counterspell, which I can't be sure of, I could, like, Tithing Blade, Skyfisher Tithing Blade. I kind of wanted an untapped land for the Rebuke, so I could make sure to get this through. I could also just Blood Fountain back 2 refurbs and take their 2 cards, and then Chump Block. Well, trade and Chump Block. I kind of don't hate that. And the next turn I can do Tithing Blades. Yeah, I think kind of like running them out of cards. Now, if they have a counterspell, they have a Brainstorm. Okay. If they have a counterspell, I could Rebuke it, but then we're only going to have 1 of these, which we're only going to have 1 of anyway. So if they counterspell, I probably will Rebuke. We'll still get their last card. I'll have a blocker for this, and then if I'm lucky, I can Skyfisher Tithing. I do have to take a hit for 11, which is pretty rough. So depending on what they draw, it could be bad. They do have the counterspell. We will Rebuke that. So, because might as well, I could just play another refurb, but might as well get the value of the Rebuke, which is dwindling. Now they've 1 card, which is ideally, I was going to say, going to Brainstorm lock them, but it was a Lorien Revealed. What a good draw. Well, and they don't even attack with the Aberration. That's just rude. I mean, I guess I got a Chump. And they have another Serpent. Okay, Cast Down would be good. Land. So I can Tithing Blade, Skyfisher Tithing Blade. So I'll eat this and maybe this. Plus I can refurb. I could also Cryogen Relic this down. Tithing. Well, let's cast Tithing Blade. Eats the Aberration. Refurb. I gotta just go for the other Tithing Blade while they're tapped out. Plus get a guy down. But I'm gonna have to chomp at least one of these. I think I gotta do just 1. I mean, that means I'm more susceptible to, like, a Sleep of the Dead, but they're gonna be able to sleep 2 creatures anyway. I will block 1. Skyfisher's good if we can get through a counterspell. Skyfisher, Tithing, that leaves us with 4 mana. Lembas, Cracking also saves us. Oh, the Cryogen also taps one of these, so let's start with that. See if they want to counter it. They do. Here's hoping they can't also counter this. Alright, pick up Tithing Blade, kill one of those. And I kind of don't want to chump because we have a Lembas, and then if I chump next turn, I can, like, Eviscerator's Insight. I mean, if we're chumping, it's just going to be with this one anyway, so let's attack for 2. But they've gone through their Delvers, so being at 3 is about the same as being at 6. And if we get another creature, we can maybe block and trade. I think we'll just sack the Lembas and take 6. Bauble is pretty irrelevant. Let's just blood token that away. Land. Alright, I guess I have an Eviscerator's Insight. If they have a Sleep of the Dead, they just tap both of these, I die. I guess I could draw a Cast Down. I kind of want to block and then Eviscerator's Insight the Chumper, but that makes it so that I could, by sacrificing now, I could I would open myself up to get, like, a Tithing Blade or something else that could interact with this at sorcery speed. Well, they just have a Dispel, so that doesn't matter. I guess I won't attack with 1 because if they have a Demon Inferior, that only wipes 1 of these away. So Thought Scour mills 2 Terrors. I mean, that's a good sign for us. Ponder is rough, though. That's 4 looks at finding a removal spell, or whatever, counterspell. We can flip a Tithing Blade, but it's like 4 turns before it's super relevant, and they find the Sleep of the Dead. Well, what are you gonna do? We get Thraben Charm, Duress, and Last Rites. I could do Negate. Generally, Terror is, you know, it's a tempo deck. It doesn't have any value. Most everything is a 1-for-1. But they played 3 Lorien Revealed throughout the game, so they were able to keep up a lot with our card advantage. Rebuke still seems decent. Most of these are not super effective. I guess probably cut a Lembas too. I like Raven's Crime. Fun game, at least. For sure. Definitely a fun one. Just, it's more fun if I win. But no, it was a cool. I almost always enjoy playing against Terror. Ooh boy. Tithing Blade's great. Cryogen is good, but we just have to play into counter spells like 4 turns in a row. We also don't have white mana, and we don't get to play anything on turn 2. But a lot of these things are just like how the deck works. Like, oh, we don't get to play anything on turn 2. That's because I play a lot of tap lands. That's just kind of how this deck works. But, oh, I accidentally thought it was their turn, so I almost passed through our turn, but I did not. They start with a Delver. All right, they don't flip Delver, which is nice. Well, we gotta play something. If we're hitting land drops, we don't have to play anything, which is kind of how you want to play this matchup. So I probably should just mulligan to more lands, but I did not. Here's a Ponder. I mean, if they tap out, I will Tithing Blade this Aberration away, but if not, I'll probably just keep playing Relics, and I'm not really expecting that. Duress is a good way to punch a hole through, but unfortunately we don't have the mana, so here's another Cryogen, seeing if that resolves. It does. We find another Relic. Not great. They're brainstorming. Fangs or Toxin Analysis in this deck. I don't think we have the synergies really to make it super powerful. Like, Fangs with Mere Enforcer is decent, but Fangs on everything else is like okay. I guess a Fangs on a Skyfisher makes it so it doesn't die to Bolt. It's a really good blocker against the right opponents. That's pretty good. Now we're gonna just die. So Fangs doesn't seem great. Toxin Analysis at least has artifact synergies. And I guess us chump blocking with our like refurbs and stuff is decent to get Death Touch, but often it's going to be, you know, the life gain is minimal. It's 2 life for 12 of our creatures, 4 for the Enforcers. I don't know. I don't think it's the life gain you want in this kind of a deck. We already have access to Reckoner's Bargain if I want to play that. We have Compass. We have a lot of other ways to gain life that I think is probably just better. And if we drew like a, what am I trying to say? Blood Fountain or something there, I could at least deploy these, but yeah, that's probably just because I kept a bad hand. So let's stop doing that, maybe. But I don't want to stop. I want to keep all the bad hands. All right, we are on the play with a pretty good one. Let's play a bridge and pass. You're against Jund. With next turn, we're going to play bridge is 4, 5. So I can't play this next turn unless I play the seat, which I'm not going to do. If I'm not playing it next turn, then it's only going to get like 1 attack before Chrysalis comes down. I'm going to get rid of the Enforcer. We can surely find some more if they're going to be something we want. Cleansing Wildfire. And we got to get this white source down because we're just don't have a lot. We have a lot of blue sources and a lot of white and black spells, so I got to do that, which means I'll probably just play Skyfisher for this Lembas. And there's a Spell Bomb. Swing for 2. And I would like to find more white and black lands. So I'm going to Lembas here before playing our land. I guess I could hold up Rebuke. I could play a Refurb and then hold up Rebuke here. That seems decent. I could also Blood Fountain, but I think Rebuke is just, or Familiar is just a little better. This allows us to counter a Chrysalis, which they had a tap land, so they might not have been able to play the Chrysalis. If they had an untapped land, it would probably mean that they have Chrysalis, because usually you want to play it when you can. Refurb, we can't and won't counter. I think it's just this Insight. I mean, Rebuke might be our least good card. Blood Fountain, probably going to be good. Actually, I guess they have the Spell Bomb, so Blood Fountain probably is just not that relevant right now. Let's do that. Another Refurb is annoying. I guess getting rid of the Insight means we can't use it. Now they're not going to Chrysalis us this turn. So I guess it is just Rebuke now. They play a Wellspring, crack their landscape. Vault is decent, so I could refurb them. They're lowish on cards, but I think I probably just want to Lembas here. I can hold up Eviscerator's Insight. I'm going to keep another Glint Hawk, and we'll attack with Skyfisher, but not refurb, I guess. I don't know if I want the refurb going away. If there's a possibility that I could like if I get another black or white land, I could maybe like Glint Hawk, Skyfisher, twice next turn. I kind of want to have that possibility. I don't want to trade this off yet. Insight the Wellspring. There's Chris. And we'll trade one of these guys and Insight this Lembas. Yeah, I mean, then I don't have anything to pick up. I still have the refurb to pick up with these if I don't find like a cryogen, so it's probably fine unless they have like a cast down for this or something, which could be annoying. Cryogen off the top is very nice. Play that. Forcer is good. Let's Glint Hawk, Relic, and then play a bridge. Well, I'll replay the Relic, probably. Ooh, actually cast down. Cast this down and attack for 4. Yeah, might as well. It is the creature that I would want to cast down anyway. They do have mana to, like, sack it to an insight or whatever if they want to crack a spawn, but also might as well not waste 4 damage here. Play a bridge and pass. A Galvanic, the Enforcer. Wholesome Arasa, Chris. Yep, that is annoying. Play him. Looks like they got a Wellspring as well. Swing with the Refurb. I could block, but if I find another removal spell for this Chrysalis, then that would probably be better. Plus, they're trying to get us to have creatures in our graveyard for the Spell Bomb. So if I get a Blood Fountain later, it's worse. So I think we'll just take the 2. We do find a cast down. So that way I can cast this down, attack for 6. And I kind of don't want to waste this Insight in our graveyard because they have the Spell Bomb they're going to use at some point. So rather than like play Relic and Skyfisher, I think I'm just going to do this and then hold up Insight. I can only take 1 card from their hand, which is not bad, but if I could take both their cards, I would probably be doing that instead. But I don't know. This is definitely a resource dependent matchup, so I don't really want to waste the 2 cards that we have to draw down here. I'll sack a land, unless obviously they target one of our creatures, then we'll sack that. They Insight a Wellspring. Ooh, Refurb's annoying. I guess that's gonna prompt me to sack one of these because I don't really want to discard either of these 2, and I'm fine discarding this bridge. Now I'm okay discarding a Relic, but I think we can get rid of the bridge. And they have a Lembas. Well, triple Relic is not amazing by any means, but it's not terrible either. Let's play one of those. There's a Blood Fountain. Not that it's looking particularly good at the moment. Still don't want to trade these these creatures off with their Spell Bomb. I will attack with the Skyfisher because I'm fine if they want to double block. I do want to double block. Okay. They already have a Refurb in here. That could mean they have like a Blood Fountain of their own, but they already have a Refurb and a Chrysalis, so I think I'm fine with that. Play a Skyfisher. Now they have a million cards, so the Refurb is not going to be the best thing ever. Let's just Relic and hope we hit a land here. Glint Hawk isn't bad either. They do have a Blood Fountain. They get back Chrysalis and Refurb. I probably just get rid of one of these cryogens. I mean, Blood Fountain's still not looking good with the Spell Bomb, so maybe I just do that, because they have enough cards, they're not looking to crack this anytime soon. Yeah, I guess that Spell Bomb's doing a lot of work just sitting there. We have a lot of card advantage. We've used 2 cast downs, which means I think we have 2 more, because I don't think this is something I actually mentioned. And no, we're only running 3. Okay, I was trying to up it to 4, but then I guess this version I ended up with just 3. So 1 cast down left is kind of brutal. Gonna be hard to get through this Chrysalis. I guess we just try to go wide. Forcer can help with that a little bit. Refurb. So I could save the Glint Hawk for like another Refurb use, but again, they have enough cards. That doesn't seem to be the plan. We have a lot of card draw, but yeah, actually finding the answers that we need. I mean, Fumes into a Tithing Blade could be decent. Same with Bauble. We have 1 cast down left. Other than that, it's just going wide. That's pretty much it. Like, if they can't get more than 1 Chrysalis, if they get another Chrysalis down, it's gonna be really tough. But if they don't, you know, if I can wipe some of their board, I can attack in with 6 flyers and hit them for a whole bunch. They have another Blood Fountain, which means if Chrysalis dies, we'll just come right back again. They also probably have at least 1 or 2 removal spells. We saw Galvanic Blast, so they probably have more of those, maybe some cast downs as well. There's a Tithing Blade, so I can Bauble the Refurb. Let's Thoughtcast here. If I can find Suffocating Fumes, I can wipe their entire board with Fumes and then Tithing Blade. Now I would need to find Fumes plus an untapped land with this Thoughtcast. We have 4 cryogens in hand. Otherwise, I'm just playing cryogen, so let's go for it. Holy Value. Yeah, it's pretty good value. It's not everything we need necessarily. Enforcer and a Refurb is good. So like, on board, I don't mind attacking with 6 flyers, having 2 of them die and getting in for 8, but more than likely they have like 2 removal spells, so I'll get in for like 4. That's not great. I guess I am going to Grim Bauble this refurb. I have this refurb as well. I might as well play another Cryogen first, because I'm going to like Bauble, refurb, Enforcer. But if this finds like my last cast down, it'd be really good. There's the Fumes. Okay, so I could also just wait for next turn. His life gain possibly more in hand. Yeah, you're right. There's a Lembas. There could be a Toxin or something. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind too. Fumes kind of makes me want to just bide my time. Don't even want to bauble this refurb, I don't think, and go in. Yeah, we'll just attack next turn. This also lets us get 2 more guys attacking. I discard a bridge. So yeah, we have 7 attackers and we're not going in, but I think this is right. Almost all these are flyers, so even if they get like a Krark, you know, there's 1 cast down. Even if they get a Krark, it's not a big deal. But yeah, Fume's looking pretty decent here. Fume's into Blade if they don't have anything else. There's the Galvanic for the Mirror Enforcer. A little surprised they're going after the Mirror Enforcers just because those could be blocked by the spawn. They flashback in Insight, sacking one of the spawn. We outgrinded the grind deck. I mean, we haven't gotten there yet, but I would argue we are equally as grindy as Jund. Both very late game mid-range grindy decks. But it is looking good, I will say. They have to have 2 removal spells, another Tithing Blade. Yeah, well, we're gonna Fumes and then Tithing. They could easily have 2 removal spells, but even just being able to get in for this much damage is gonna be really good. They do Insight the familiar way, but now I get to Tithing Blade. I mean, the fact that if they don't die this turn, which they very well might not, because I guess just Lembas keeps them alive at 1, then their Blood Fountain can bring this back, but I guess this is just 1 blocker since everything's flying now. It's not a big deal. We will attack for a bunch. 14 if it all goes through. It will. They're gonna Lembas. I could Bauble, but that doesn't do anything. All right, they're at 1 and they now have to find 7 blockers or removal spells or more life gain. It did take a while, but we got there. I guess it helps that they only found 1 Chrysalis. They did get to use it a couple of times, but you know, 40 cards in and they only found 1 is pretty good for us. All right, we get Dust to Dust is good here. Duress and Last Rites are decent. Blue Blast, because they're going to bring in Red Blast. They have Galvanics. Krark I don't care about, but they have Cleansing Wildfire. They have probably going to bring in like Cast of the Fires maybe. Thraben Charms are okay. In general, I think Tithing Blade is bad here. Same with Suffocating Fumes. They work well in tandem in that situation, but if you don't have them both, it's kind of bad. Grim Bauble's not good. I guess Rebukes are probably not the best. They can counter Chrysalis, but like they do fall off. Especially with a Chrysalis, they kind of fall off right away because they'll just keep at least 2 mana floating around. I guess I liked Raven's Crime better than Last Rites in this situation. More creature removal is good. Obviously this gets makeshift munitions and also blows up their graveyard. Lembas maybe is the cut because this is just a 1-for-1. It's good to have early. If we don't have a Cryogen, it's good. Sometimes I like to cut a Blood Fountain because they were so useless there, and if they notice that, then they can just like do the same thing with a Spell Bomb. And they're gonna have 2 or 3 Spell Bombs main deck, which I doubt they're gonna cut. I don't know if I cut both of them. That seems kind of crazy, but they were really bad. Sure, why not? That's not a keepable hand, nor is this. All right, I want to keep Dust to Dust because it can take out 2 of their early lands. Do I also keep Duress and go for the fully, interactive plan? Not keeping a Lembas probably is wrong because Lembas, if I get rid of Lembas, then all of our 8 bouncers are pretty bad draws until we find one. Duress can also make it so we don't lose artifact lands. I think we got to keep the Lembas, but it is close. They start with a forest. What the hell is this? They're supposed to play bridges. All right, liking that I kept the Lembas right now. Well, there's a Vault of Whispers at least. And they Troublemaker Oof. I mean, I guess Duress wouldn't have made a difference there, but that is, as always, quite annoying. I will play this Ancient Tap. They gonna oof me again? Okay, no, there's a Lembas. They can get the red source, swing for 2. All right, thank God I have this Lembas. We will keep any land, not a Thoughtcast, triple Skyfisher, and they have Chris. There's a Relic. Probably just need to play this, though. Ooh, I do think I need to take a break from this deck, because I'm getting, it's just how it works. But I'm getting tilted that my lands just keep getting blown up. I understand that's a necessary part of the format, and if I'm playing against an artifact opponent, even one that's somewhat artifacty, I'm also trying to blow up their lands, but, and it is annoying. They have a refurb. I will discard this. I mean, this is still good to take this away. I guess I don't really have anything I want to sacrifice. Maybe a chump block. I don't know. And they have a Lembas, and they find a Troublemaker Oof. Look at that. I am So shocked. Find a vault. I will Lembas. I will keep only lands here. I mean, I guess currently the Skyfisher kind of holds back 3 of these. Maybe not. Maybe they'll just attack with everything. Or they'll just draw a cast down or something. Attack for 4. Crack their Lembas. We get another vault. I will play a Skyfisher. Pick up this Lembas. This is the part that tilts me. They've drawn 16 cards, and 3 of them were probably their only 3 Troublemaker oofs that they sided in. That's crazy. Is that a joke? I mean, I'm not laughing. I Lembas, I can chump. Who has this amount of luck? All of my opponents recently is the answer. I guess, I mean, Lembas doesn't do anything. This isn't going to do anything. I can't even play the refurb. All right. I mean, that was only game 2, so maybe we can just do it back to them with the dust to dusts. You know what? I guess I should keep in rebukes to play around. Oof. Also, 0 bridges when you have dust to dust in hand. Yeah. The fact that they started with Forest, which is just a crazy start in this deck because they only play like 2 of them. Then they did Vault of Whispers, but then, yeah, they didn't have a second bridge or a second artifact land. All right, we're going to bring in rebukes to try to play around that, the oof, and part of me wants to cut insight, but to be honest, if we're, like in that match, it's all about the speed, I guess, in that game, but generally it's about grinding, so I'd rather the insights which can grind more than the thought casts, probably. But we will hold up Rebuke early if we can. This hand's okay. It loses pretty hard to an oof. And I just have a Lembas on turn 3. I mean, I don't think it's bad enough to throw back. Although this Bajuka Bog has been... it was really good against Terror, and it generally is obviously very good against a couple decks. But sometimes it's so good, and sometimes it's really annoying that it's not a basic for many reasons. This being one of them. I guess I'm thinking about Ravens criming them, just because I have the mana, in which case I probably should have obviously done that before I Bajuka Bogs them. Yeah, I mean, obviously bad sequencing, but usually I don't Ravens Crime till later, but it just, like, the way my mana's working out, I might have to Lembas, and then if I don't find a land, I'm paying 2 mana for a refurb, and then, you know, so I think it's just worth to get it going. They have a Wildfire. Now, the refurb isn't bad. I would love to find a Vault of Whispers here. Okay, well, I'm going to keep a Razortide Bridge, obviously. I mean, I'd probably prefer that, but, you know, the Vault would let me refurb there and then double refurb next turn, but I can still, like, Thoughtcast and double refurb this turn, which is pretty good, assuming I don't get oofed. Oh, look. Surprise, surprise. And now we get a Blue Blast, which I guess doesn't matter against them. I will start refurbing them. They discard another Wildfire. They got a Blood Fountain. Yep, another. Ooh, this is a fun time. I can't afford to block, not only because they can bring it back, but because I need the affinity count for this refurb. They have a Lembas. We get a Mirror Enforcer. Offering the Lembas. They swing for 4. Offering and Wildfire. Every basic in their entire deck, more than likely, on the field. Just in case I ever did get a Dust to Dust, I wouldn't still be able to use it on their stuff. Alright, I am done with this match. Let's see if we can get a reasonable one where our opponent doesn't draw every sideboard card. We will keep this one. Alright, we're against some Black Sack, which is fun. Also, we have the perfect counter to this Nested Shambler, which is Grim Bauble, because it's going to shrink it and they'll make 0 squirrels. And I'm okay playing this because this Bauble's just a good card. In this match, I'll bring it right back. There's a Feeder and a Beetle, so I can bauble one of those down. Fumes is also not a bad one. Whichever one we kill, they will sacrifice. I think I'm happy to take out the Feeder. It's always this weird tension because it's very important they have a sack outlet, so killing that is usually best, so that they don't have any way to sacrifice it, anything ideally. But if they have multiple sack outlets, then the Beetle's actually better because it grows for all the other ones you have. And the chances that they will have something to sack here are high, so I'm just going to attack, since I probably can't block. Unearth the Shambler. Okay, that means they probably have Stamina and something else? No, just a Village Rites. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, if they didn't have any fodder and they have Village Rites, they definitely want to get that going, so that makes sense. So they hit for 3. Cast Down's pretty good. I probably just use that on the Beetle right now. They could have a Village Rites up, so I probably don't need to do it this very moment, actually. Could do it in their upkeep, which is probably the call, so we'll do that. I could also just get down the Enforcer here, which isn't bad, but I can get it down for free or cheaper next turn. There's the Conviction, another Beetle. So I could Fumes these away, but if they have another way to sacrifice the Squirrel, ooh, a Curse Marauder, then they would have a way to grow the Beetle. Obviously, they had a way to grow the Beetle regardless. That's not bad. Refurb is a really good draw, though. That lets me take away 2 of their cards, which is pretty good. Beckoner, good to know that they're playing that version. Pick this back up, play it again, and then play the Enforcer after, just in case they had a different card they wanted to keep, knowing now that we have an Enforcer. They have a Link Breaker and a Swamp, so they are out of everything. We have a Fumes to wipe a couple of these. Play this because we can Fumes and Bauble. And I'll just pass. I could Fumes right now, which there's some merit to, but if they draw like a Village Rites or something, they're probably going to sacrifice the Link Breaker, so I'm still going to be able to kill the Mercenary and the Squirrel. It's about the same thing, and if they get more fodder, then I can get more value out of it, or if they could make this Beetle a 5/5 and attack, then I could trade. There's several different reasons why I'd want that. Sack this Bauble. We don't need these lands. Let's get rid of them, and I'll just keep the Fumes for now. Not really a reason to give them a flyer, which could block our Refurb when they currently don't have a way to sacrifice anything. Refurb allows us to draw a card. Raven's Crime, not going to be the best in this match, but that's okay. Pass. Maybe I should have attacked with the Enforcer there, because if they blocked with the Infestation Sage, which is probably what they would do, then I could Fumes away the token. I think we're in a pretty good spot regardless. They're going to attack with the Sage so that they can hopefully get that token. I would not block. Or I would, but I have the Fumes, so it's, you know, either way it's not doing what they want it to. Not to mention I have a 2-turn clock regardless, so let's just hit here. They kept a card in hand, so we're going to Raven's Crime them. I don't mind showing this because I'm going to take it out in the post-sideboard games. Otherwise I might just keep it so that they wouldn't know about it in the next games. Thraben Charm is more removal for creatures. Drowned Sorrow can be awkward because their big guys can live, but it's pretty decent sometimes. And Last Rites is just, it's a weird one because like it's amazing against combo and control, but occasionally it could just be decent against like random opponents. Probably this is not actually the match for it, so I probably won't end up playing it, but if they had like 3 cards in hand, it could be good. But like I like it against Gruul. Tithing Blade seems bad, letting them choose what to sacrifice. Rebuke is good, slows them down. Insight's probably not necessary. Oh right, we're cutting that the Crime though, so we can bring one of those back. Tithing Blade can be really good because if we wipe the board and they have just one big guy left, it could be nice. So maybe I should try keeping those in. But if they have any other guys around, it just fuels their creatures, so that's generally not where you want to be. And we have some decent card draw. We have a Cast Down to stop some early aggression, and we have a Cryogen Relic. Also Rebuke could be pretty good here in a couple turns. There's a Shambler and a Carrion Feeder. So casting down the Carrion Feeder is reasonable. I could wait until they maybe start sacrificing things, but if they have like a Supernatural Stamina, I kind of want to kill it before they can do that in case it's their only way to sacrifice cards. I think we probably just kill it now. There's definitely some ways we can get a little more value if we don't, but there's also a lot of ways we can lose a lot of value. Like even just if they have a Village Rites and they can draw 2 off of it, it's pretty good. And if they have nothing, then we're in a very good spot. I could just leave up a Rebuke. That doesn't seem great because I'd have to play this Whispers. I might not even use it, and I don't get this bridge down. Whereas now I can do like Glint Hawk, then hold up a Rebuke. Village Rites the Infestation Sage. You're gonna swing for 2. Yeah. Shambling Ghast and a Sage. Alright. I could Thought Cast, but I think I was going to say we want to hold up Rebuke, but actually I want to get down this Enforcer and a Glint Hawk, which means I won't have enough artifacts for the Rebuke. So in that case, actually, we will just Thought Cast. Drowned Sorrow is pretty good. It wipes their entire board. It leaves them with 1/1/1 and a treasure. If they have a Village Rites in response, it's not bad. So I could do that, or I could just Glint Hawk Refurb, or Refurb Glint Hawk Refurb. Probably don't need to do that as much. I think we'll just Drowned Sorrow. If they have a Village Rites here, it's, you know, not bad. They get a little bit of value, but we just take so many guys, because again, this Shambler is going to be a negative power creature, so it's not going to make any guys. So even if they have a Stamina here, it doesn't do much. And if they have a Conviction, you know, they get their card draw, but it's not the end of the world. Thought Cast, sure. Again, we might use the Rebuke, so we might not end up holding that up immediately, because next turn I probably will Refurb, Glint Hawk, Refurb, Enforcer, and then also hold up Rebuke. That seems kind of crazy. Don't know how they'll come back from that. Attack for 1, and we will hit them with the discard. Cursed Marauder, yeah. Obviously I could just draw more cards with the Relic, but I think we already have enough cards. Making sure they don't have the resources to kill us is not very difficult, and will definitely be the right choice here, I think. Discard a Rite of Consumption, Shambler, Cursed Marauder, and Stamina the Shambler in response. Well, they should have let the Accursed Marauder resolve first, because it's not going to, in which case they're not actually going to be able to sacrifice the Shambler. So they should have let it resolve, have the trigger on the stack, and then Stamina. Then I could just counter the Stamina, but at least their Marauder goes off. And we win the match. We do end up going 3-2, but the losses are just so heavy because it feels like we should have like in the first month of playing this deck, I don't think I lost a match to Jund. And now it feels like almost every match I'd lose to Jund. And it's usually because they find their troublemaker oofs or whatever. So I have a little more time. I don't think I'm going to do more CryoBlade because it takes a while and also it's frustrating me. So I think we'll play some Black Sack. I was thinking about doing some other stuff, but I want a little quick one, and I want something very different from what I've been playing so that at the very least I can't get destroyed by Artifact Hate or whatever. So I think we'll do this. I've been messing a little bit. This will be the first showing. I've been messing around with my stock list a little bit. I'm trying to probably put up I will probably put out an update for my guide in the next month or so is the goal. Once I have a defined list for the new meta, and I got to write up at least one new matchup because Esper Affinity is a thing that exists. Hell yeah. And I just haven't been playing it a bunch, so I want to play it a little bit more. Oh wait, you also play Snuff Out's main. It is one of the things I'm trying out. So in my main stock list that I've been playing for the last 6 months or so, I did not run Snuff Outs anywhere in the list actually. But it's something I'm testing because Jund is so prevalent, and one of the reasons is because Jund is so prevalent, and removal for their Krark so it doesn't get Death Touch is mandatory. It's like the only way you survive is killing the Krark, and so Snuff Outs is a good way to do that. But also, I've been running up against a lot of elves, so Snuff Out's good against them. That's also a reason that I have a third Drown in Sorrow in my sideboard, because I do not like losing to elves. And what else have I changed? I have taken out the Wedding Invitation and the Sylvok Lifestaff for now for the Snuff Outs. I think those are the only cards I've actually changed in the main deck. Everything else I like really well. The Sylvok Lifestaff still great if you go up against red, but to be honest, I mean, red's always around, but it's, right now it feels like it's a little bit lesser, so it's not as big of a deal. The Wedding Invitation I was liking for a while. When there was a lot of walls and things. And Gruul. Well, here's the thing. Gruul was a big reason why the Wedding Invitation was a good card. And then it's kind of been gone for a while. And then it's coming back. So should I bring it back? Maybe. But Snuff Out's also a good one against them. So, yeah. So this is the stock list I'm playing. This is just one I've been testing out. And I figure might as well show it off. And then the sideboard is basically the same, but I swapped out. I threw in another Drown in Sorrow, and I threw a second Lifestaff in the sideboard since I cut one from the main. But I don't know if this will be the actual stock list going forward. Still got to try it out. But like I said, I'm going to try to have an update. Somebody asked me if I was planning to update before the next Paupergeddon, which is the end of November. I already wanted to get out a new update by probably the end of October, and that should give plenty of time for anybody who is going to be taking it to Paupergeddon. So anyway, other than that, yeah, pretty stock list. Basically, Accursed Marauder, Bloodthorn Vampire, Rite of Consumption. Of course, we have Carrion Feeder, Infestation Sage, Beetle, Shambler. I like 2 of Sadistic Glee. Some people don't like it at all. Some people like more than that. It can just be really helpful in some matchups. Can help you get to your Rite of Consumption for an enormous vampire, or it can help get your guys out of bolt range, things like that. I also like a couple Shambling Ghast because, again, I hate losing to elves. This is a nice way to try to survive game 1, but it's also really good against fairies, things like that. Fairies has not been quite as prevalent, but Snuff Out's another great card against fairies, of course. I like 3 Staminas. More than that always feels like too many to me. And I like 2 Unearths because it can bring back any of your creatures, but especially your Marauders and your Fiends from your sideboard. And some people like 8 card draw spells. Some people like 0. I like 4. I like having a little bit, but I don't want to get flooded with them. And then 17 lands. This is one of the things I'm most confident about. You should be playing 17 lands. I think 18 is too many. I think 16 is too few. I've played both. 17 is the perfect number. And then, sideboard, some more removal, Graveyard Hate, and board wipes, hand attack with the Fiends. So, anyway, let's play some Black Sack. It has been a little while. People say 18 is better in Beckoner build. Yes, I could see that. I was talking very much in an absolute, but in my type of list, no Beckoners, and the people who like, 8 card draw spells, they like to, I don't know, people have described it as they like to like grind and make sure to have enough cards, but I feel like that's antithetical to the whole point of it being an aggro deck, so that's why I don't really like that much card draw. But I could see 18 being right in Beckoners. I could see that. But I don't care for Beckoner. I've said it before. I will not try to say it over and over again. But if people like Beckoners, that's great. I'm not a fan. All right, we are against Celebi, who I've played against like 3 times in the last couple days. And I played Esper against them, and they were like, oh, I thought you were going to be on Black Sack. And then I played Black Sack against them, and they were like, oh, I thought you'd be on Esper. And I believe they've been on Terror, is it? What were they playing? No, Borosynth. That's it. Borosynth and then Blue Terror. Okay, yeah, so probably Terror again. Grind is weird. There was even a list with 3 Reapings main. Yes, so that's the people have... Yeah, there are people who have been trying Reaping again. When Black Sack started, at least in this kind of iteration, was in March, and Reapings was main decked. Pretty common there. I was trying for a while. And Reaping, I liked it in some ways, but it was just not the best. I think you want to be faster. And so I can see it. Some people have been trying it as sideboard, and I think that's fair. It can be a reasonable side. This hand is decent. It can be a reasonable sideboard card against heavier graveyard or heavy removal or counterspell matchups. But it's just weird for me to have them all in the main deck. Seems strange to me at this point, at least in this version that I play. I don't know. But yeah, I guess people have kind of taken to saying there's 2 different versions, not just Beckoners and not Beckoners, but it's 2 different versions of people who want more card draw, more advantage in grinding, and then the people who are very, very fast who like Sadistic Glee and Bloodthorn Vampire. But this is definitely the version that I prefer. Was that Mulligan twice? Yeah, Mulligan to 5. Brutal. We have Shambler, Stamina, Bloodthrone. That's really good. I could just snuff this out, but if we have all this, I guess I do want to get rid of blockers. And if I want to do it, I should do it now, because then they can't Spell Pierce it, and then I can Bloodthrone Vampire. We will attack first. Yeah, I think if they don't have another creature, then them not having a blocker for this vampire in a couple turns could be really good. If they do have another creature and it's like a Terror later, then they're going to have to chump, because I'm going to have Stamina, Shambler, ideally, if these both resolve. So I think just killing that now makes sense, rather than letting them potentially keep it around and then being able to chump with it. They do Brainstorm and then draw back one of those cards. Cycle a Lorien, get rid of the other, play an island, play a Ponder. It's 4 spells in their grave, so no Terror. They could have a Spell Pierce, so, because let's see, Shambler, Stamina is always 6 sacks, so this is 8, so Unearth will make it 10. So if they don't have a Spell Pierce, they just die. Or Dispel would work too. I'm going to assume they don't have an Unsummon or something, so we'll see. If they don't, we will just win the game. And they know it right away. Yeah, so Nested Shambler plus Supernatural Stamina is always 6 sacrifices, or you can think of it as Stamina always adds 4 sacrifices to your Shambler, which is already 2. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 21 power attacking in. On turn 3, classic turn 3 win. Here we get Rotten Reunion and Spellbomb. Rotten Reunion's not the best graveyard hate, but it's very important to take away their, what's it called? I can never think of names. Sleep of the Dead, that's the one. And this is like one of the only matches that I like to bring in a couple Fiends, but I don't like all of them. Or at least that's how I was before. Now we have 2 Snuff Outs that I definitely will want to keep main deck. Rite of Consumption, you don't generally need, plus it dies to counterspells pretty badly. Sadistic Glee, they can bounce our guys with Demon Inferiors. I don't love that. And then Infestation Sages. We can just cut 3 of those. It's our worst fodder in general. I will say when I first started playing this list several months ago, I thought Nezumi Linkbreaker was our worst fodder, as it doesn't have flying. But flying has felt less and less important. Of course, it can block a Delver or fly over, which is relevant. Especially it's good with a Sadistic Glee, because you put it on there, it can grow, and then you can attack him with a flyer. But the more powerful and more people and I realize that Shambler is kind of what you want to be playing around, the Link Breakers having the ability to pump the Shambler has become even more important. Could be 1 damage more with Pump and Sack. Exactly. Yeah, 1 more damage to your guy, or obviously it combos nicely with the Shambler. It's just really, really good. So I've definitely shifted my perspective on that a little bit. This one's pretty good. If Bloodthorn Vampire gets countered, it's a lot worse. But 4th land is not what we want to see. And we obviously need some more fodder. But Double Beetle and Sack Outlet is hard to pass up. They do Mental Note, or rather reveal a Mental Note. Ponder is nice because that means they're not going to have a counter spell, so I can get down a Vampire. Unless they're playing Force Spike, but I'm never assuming they're on Force Spike. They get in for 3. Village Rites is not bad if Vampire does go away. Just another way to sack something, plus more card draw. But we're definitely getting down Vampire while they probably can't counter it. And then next turn I can probably get a Link Breaker through. I could maybe even bait with a Beetle, something like that. Mental Note hits Brainstorm and Ponder. Another Ponder. They're being very... Maybe they don't have any counter spells, so they're just not bluffing them. But they're being very aggressive with all these cantrips tapping out on their own turn, which I appreciate. And they attack for 3. I guess they've had 3 Ponders, whereas every other cantrip in their deck is instant, and they've just had all the sorcery ones. But this means I could... Link Breaker, how much damage can I do? Link Breaker is 2 sacks, which is plus 3 twice, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 if I want to sack the Beetle. That's not going to be lethal. So I guess we Village Rites the Breaker, which probably gets Spell Pierced. Yeah, I don't really want that to happen. So I think we're just going to attack and sacrifice this once. This way the Beetle starts dealing damage right away. More damage that's going to stay, but also we can use it to pump later. But I'm going to save it because I want to, if I draw nothing, I'd like to have something to Village Rites away. If they Mental Note here, I am going to Village Rites while they're tapped out because I very much want this to resolve. I just want to play around the Spell Pierce. Yeah, 1 Link Breaker is great. A Swamp draw there is pretty bad, though, I will admit. And they can get down 1 mana Terrors. There's 2 of them. There's 3 of them. Okay. I mean, 8. Cursed Marauder. Tragic Slip's not bad. That lets me swing with the team. If they block, I can just, whatever, I can eat them all. Well, I can trade with a couple and I can eat 1. But if they go for a double block, which they probably will, then I can shoot one of them down. They go for a triple block. 1, 2, 3. So I could hit for, what is this? 12? I could hit for 12, which is not going to be lethal. So I could just sacrifice this twice. This is a 5/5. Trade with 1. Tragic Slip another. They go to 4. And I need to not die because I am at 11. But yeah, this should be fine. It's not the best thing ever, but I'm going to have 2 5/5 Beetles, and they're going to have 1 Terror and an Aberration. So, I mean, it doesn't matter if I do it now or later. So yeah, and I don't have another thing to sacrifice, unfortunately. So we'll hit for that, and I'll just Tragic Slip one of these right now so I won't die. I mean, if they just attack in and have like 2 blockers, that's pretty decent. There's a Delver, there's a Serpent. So I guess Rite of Consumption's our best draw, or a Removal Spell. Removal Spell does it. Nice. I guess why would I kill that one? Let's kill this one. That was a close one. I think it was a little aggressive for them to just attack with both. If they just attacked with the Terror, or the, yeah, just one of them, that might have been better, but it was close. And we get there against Terror, which is good because that is, you know, supposed to be a favored match for us. So I hate to lose it. Alright, round 2 here. We have a very good start. Obviously, we could use a Supernatural Stamina, but Feeder, Beetle, Shamblers, and Snuff Out's all good. We're against something blue. Ooh, a Cursed Marauder. Okay. So there's a bunch of things going through my head. First of all, they're blue, which probably means that they have less removal. If they are suddenly like, is it? Maybe that's not the case, but with less removal, I'm more okay putting out like a Carrion Feeder right away. But we just got a Marauder, so if they're like fairies, I might want a Beetle and then Marauder their first creature. Then I get my guys bigger. But I already have a Snuff Out for their first creature. The other thing is I want to get Carrion Feeder down before counterspells happen as my only sack outlet. So I think we're going to do that. Wow, Snuff Out coming in hot right away in game 1. Well, I never play around the Spell Pierce because I don't think you can really respect it, but it was something that came into my mind, was technically they could Spell Pierce here. Or not Spell Pierce, Force Spike. Yeah, Snuff Out was great right there. Terror obviously is a match where Snuff Out is extremely good. I assume we're against fairies because that's the main deck that sometimes plays Force Spike. Luckily, another one that Snuff Out's really good against because I can Beetle here, and if they like Spell Stutter, I can snuff it out. I will also Shambler, and again, if they Spell Stutter, I will snuff it out. And if they just let these go, that's also fine by me. Could be Terror. That's also a deck that could play Force Spike, but I think those are about the only ones. Not playing anything is interesting, though. Brainstorm, not common in fairies, so making me think Terror again. Yeah, honestly, Snuff Out is a card that I've definitely played in some lists before. I just realized after these 4 hours that I didn't have this other light on, which is to balance this out a little bit. Oh well. Yeah, Snuff Out's obviously a fantastic card. I like it a lot in Black Sack. It was just trying to find room for it. There are some people who play like 4 of it in the main deck, and I don't necessarily think that's bad. It's just I struggle to find the space for it. But I think 2 has been pretty strong for sure. They brainstorm and Lorien revealed. Okay. Well, they have 1 mana again. Is it, are they going to be holding up another Force Spike is the question. I guess I can play around it. Well, there's no reason to do anything here. We'll attack for 2. If it somehow is fairies and they Brine Barrow, I can just snuff out, but I don't really want to do that, but I'm thinking it's just another terror with Force Spike. So Shambler, and I kind of want to get down the Sadistic Glee for if we Marauder next turn or if we snuff out. Putting it on the Beetle feels very all in, because then if they just like Demon Inferior, it's kind of bad. And honestly, putting this on a Shambler is really nice, because then if the Shambler grows, it will get you more and more guys. So I think I'm going to do that. If they Spell Pierce this, that's fine. I guess I should have played those in the opposite order so that it couldn't have gotten Spell Pierced, since I was playing around Force Spike anyway. But generally, people don't play both Force Spike and Snuff Out. Or not Snuff Out, what? Force Spike and Spell Pierce. They do Mental Note and show that they are in fact Terror, 4 spells in their grave. So our hand is looking stacked against Terror. Of course, our board is not very aggressive, but the moment they start playing creatures and I can start killing them, our board gets a lot better. Delver is one that I could kill, and will. Infestation Sage. I don't want to get this Force Spiked, so let's just Marauder. I guess I don't want it to get counterspelled either, because Marauder grows our team by 4 counters. So I guess we'll just Snuff Out, actually. If they want to counter this, then maybe I can get Marauder through. Also, this does still grow our Shambler by 1, attack for 4, and we'll play a Sage. If they want to counter that, that's fine. They didn't have any Thought Scours or Mental Notes there, so it feels like they're going to have to overpay for a Serpent, which would be great for a Marauder, or maybe like a cantrips into paying for a Serpent. Any way they want to tap out would be fantastic, but especially if it ends up with a creature on the field. Demon Inferior is not really what I wanted to see. I don't think we want that. We don't have any way to sacrifice creatures except for this Marauder. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's still not going to be able to play a Serpent unless they could play a land and then a Serpent. I'm just trying to think if I'm going to have this Marauder, if I'm going to play this Marauder here, or if we're going to do the Beetle later. Interesting they didn't target the Shambler with that. Yeah, they might have another one. No, they just paid 3 mana for this. It is, because as soon as this has a Glee on it, this is just strictly better than a Beetle. Not to mention it's a 2/2 and has the trigger, so you're right. They probably should have targeted that. If they don't play a Terror right here, then next turn I draw a card, attack, pass, and then they play one, and then Beetle would be really good, but I'd have to play it first, and not playing around Force Spike, which we've already seen. I'm going to put it on the bottom. I think it's fine. Yes, they should have targeted the Shambler for sure. So ideally, they go land, Serpent. Okay, Delver's fine too. I would prefer they play more lands to waste them. Carrion Feeder's a great draw, but this is still going to give us a bunch of triggers. Actually, this is basically a Beetle. Can I win here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 damage. So no, but I don't think there's anything they can do against a million 1/1s once they're at 8, so I think we're just going to win regardless. Legitimately, a very good way to win against them if you can is just go wide, because like they have no board clear, so unless they have a bunch of blockers, which in this case I'm going to just have like 10 guys, they're not going to be able to get around it, because they Thought Scour, Sleep of the Dead. That'd be really funny if they want to sleep this when I'm about to sack it anyway. Delver of Secrets. Alright, because I can sacrifice 1, 2, 3, 4 to make this an 8/8, then I sacrifice it to make 8 1/1s, plus I have an enormous Carrion Feeder. I think that seems pretty good. Let's just yield to all of these. Shambler. And of course I gotta do this now because they will have Summoning Sickness otherwise. Also they enter tapped, but that doesn't really matter with the Summoning Sickness. Make 8 1/1s, please. And a Beetle. I didn't put that Beetle on top, but I guess I'll draw it anyway. And then I have 2 enormous creatures and also 8 1/1s. So won the game there. We're playing against the same ones we just played against. So we bring in these 7. Marauders obviously are good. Rite of Consumption, Infestation Sage, and Glee was fantastic there. But if they had targeted the correct creature with the Demon Inferior, it would not have been anywhere near as good. In fact, we potentially could have just lost that game if they did that. We still would have had Carrion Feeder plus Beetle, 4 fodder. They would have been 5/5s. Yeah, they would have been in a much better spot. Alright. Ooh, what a hand. Accursed Marauder is one of our best cards against Terror. Unearth is great with it. We also have a Carrion Feeder and these guys. I think we're going to keep. This does go a little bit against my general philosophy of don't keep a one-lander that doesn't have card draw. And even more so, don't keep a one-lander at all against a counterspell deck, because even if you have card draw, they can counterspell it. But we do have a Shambling Ghast, which can make a 2nd mana, which is something. We're going to Carrion Feeder, despite the fact that they might Force Spike. They do. I realized right after. We have the Unearth for it if we really want, but I might have wanted to start with the Beetle, especially because if we get a land and they have like a Delver, we can Marauder. There's the Delver. Another Carrion Feeder. We think they're going to force spike again. I do think I want a Beetle in case I get a land in Marauder. Hey, I've been watching on YouTube for a few weeks, and you've greatly helped me learn Pauper. Just wanted to say thanks. You are welcome. I'm here to show you how to get force spiked multiple times. No, I'm glad it's been helping, and I'm glad you've been enjoying and been playing the format. It is certainly great. They have a Piracy Charm. This is not one you see very often. Target creature gains Island Walk. They brought it in, I assume, from the sideboard because +1, -1, so I need to be wary of, like, I can't throw out a feeder now. Or target player discards. So if I just carry in feeder, they could just kill it with the charm. For that reason, we will Shambling Ghast. Yo, Black Sack, been wanting to make this deck in paper. You absolutely should. It is phenomenal. I love it. And it just plays differently, you know? If you want, like, a deck that, like, I mean, I love Esper CryoBlade, for example, but it's just another Glint Hawk deck. There's a bunch of those out there, but, like, and there's other aggro decks, but I just feel like nothing plays quite like Black Sack. It is tons of fun and very unique. And they're swinging in. They only have 3 cards in hand. We know one of them is Piracy Charm. So I think if we get, like, a land, so we can get these Marauders going, we might be in a decent spot. Ooh, and there's a Terror. Okay, come on, land. All right, so I'm so close to wiping both of their creatures right now, because I could Marauder, sack the Ghast to make a treasure so I could unearth, but then the Marauder's not in our graveyard. Or I could Marauder, sack itself, but then it's not in the graveyard. Or rather than we don't have the mana for it. I could attack, and if they are silly enough to block, then I could definitely do that double unearth. Probably don't, but then I could still just Marauder, sack this. We have a chump blocker, and I can get my feeder down. All right, let's do that. Let's attack for 1. They don't block. Strange. I will play a Marauder, sack the Ghast, get treasure, and get my Carrion Feeder down. I guess if I play Carrion Feeder, if I chump with the Marauder, then the Piracy Charm can kill our feeder. And if I try to sack it in response to the chump, then it can still kill it. So maybe I just play a Shambler. Maybe I don't play anything, because then next turn, in case they, like, counterspell our next Marauder, I can still unearth it. Yeah, I don't think I need to play it. Let's just pass. Also, Piracy Charm is interesting. It gives minus toughness, but it gives +2 power. So if they, for whatever reason, if they wanted to kill a nested Shambler, it would actually give us more squirrels, which would be really funny. Shambler with Piracy Charm as a combo. Yep, I was just mentioning that. Okay, so we block here, and then I can just unearth it. They counterspell that, then I have a Marauder. Yeah, I think we just chump. Honestly, they are mostly out of cards. We have more cards than they do, so unless they tap like a Lorien, as long as we don't die, we can probably win the later game. So I could, like, ideally, I would, like, Link Breaker and then Marauder and sack the Link Breaker here, but I think we just Marauder, and then if that gets counterspelled, we'll do something. We'll do the unearth. If it doesn't, I guess they could have a counterspell. They would have countered that, but do they have a force spike? Because I could Carrion Feeder, unearth first. Yeah, I think unearth first might have been better, because then if it went off, which it probably would have, then we can get down more stuff. We didn't need to pay the extra mana for that. I think that would have been better, but alas, they don't play Pierce. Yeah, if they're playing force spike, I'm assuming they're not playing Pierce. Even if they were, I could have paid for it. No, I probably should have unearthed, because then I could have gotten down Feeder and Link Breaker, and then sacking the Link Breaker here would be cool, because then I could Nested Shambler. Also, I just played this into the Piracy Charm I knew about, because I'm a goob. It's okay, probably. I'll hold unearth for another Marauder in case they get a creature, and if not, I'll just start playing these guys out. I'm not going to play out the Vampire in case they have another Piracy Charm. I'll just play out these 2. Beetle is good as well. Let's actually play that in case we end up using the Unearth, and then Link Breaker. And then next turn I can get the Vampire down, since it'll play around the Piracy Charm. They are deep in the tank. And they Demon Inferior a Beetle. I'll keep that around, but I don't care too much about that. 1, 2. They could play a Terror. Don't. 2 cards left. They didn't play a land. Feels like they probably have a counterspell, because they didn't play a creature. I'm gonna play a Vampire. If they want to counter it, I could unearth it, but then we're a little shields down against a Terror, except for the fact that we have a bunch of chump blockers. Also, the Beetle becomes worse. They don't counter it though. I'm gonna Shambler. They haven't had the force spike in the last couple turns, so hope they continue not to, and they don't. Now they have a Demon Inferior. I'm gonna just let that go, and I'll put it second from the top as well. They're not doing anything else. I kind of want to hold this unearth. We know we're getting Beetle Vampire now. So I could have just sacrificed it and unearthed it, but I don't think that's necessary based on what they've been doing and what we've been doing. They clearly have something else in their hand. I mean, it could be more Demon Inferiors. It could be like Sleep of the Dead that they don't want to use yet. But it can't be cantrips, really. I guess they could just be holding islands, but that feels silly in case they get a Lorien revealed. I don't know. I'll play the vampire. Now it's going to eat a counterspell. So I could bring it back for 5. Probably do bring it back at this point. I mean, we'll attack first. But I mean, vampire is just lethal next turn, right? Because they're going to be at 13. It can sack for 12. Yeah. So vampire is lethal next turn. And if they do have creatures, then they might have a spell pierce here, I guess. But again, probably not playing them. And if they got nothing, they're dead next turn. If they do have terrors, then I can just chump block with shamblers and stuff. Question is, do I want to go all in on the vampire and the beetle? Probably. I mean, Demon Inferior, when you play Demon Inferior, you usually don't play like boomerangs and stuff, but it is a possibility that they could have something like that to disrupt us. So, because if I sacrifice everything, it's 4 creatures. So a 5/5 beetle, a 9/9 vampire. That is lethal. I think in many situations, I say you just got to go for it. That is true. I think we're in such a better position than they are that I maybe just don't go all the way. Like I'll go a little bit, but on the off chance they're playing like a boomerang or something, I really don't want to lose everything here. And not that, you know, they would instantly concede if they count up the damage and see that they're dead, but the fact that they haven't conceded generally means they might have something. There's a Piracy Charm, for example. That might kill the beetle. Okay, I guess they could just have 2 Piracy Charms. We've already seen 1, I guess. So now I'll sack the Shambler to try to keep it alive. And if they have another one, then they can kill the beetle unless I want to sack the vampire. Okay, well now they're just taking more damage. So now they're taking 10. So now I'll sack a squirrel. I get to keep a mercenary and I'm still presenting lethal now that they help me out. Well, that's pretty funny. They they kind of incentivized me and pushed me to deal lethal, whereas if they did nothing, I would not have actually gone for the combo there. Just because I would be a little worried about something. But Piracy Charm, not a bad card from their sideboard because it did get that carrion feeder and stuff, but it's not the, like, they don't really have a sideboard against us, which is why they're bringing it in, but it is not the most effective against us for sure. But I mean, it's nice to start with a 4-0. We were against Blue Terror, which is probably our best matchup, one of our best matchups, so not super surprising, but you do love to see it. Such a nice blue player helping get to lethal. Yeah, I mean, you know, people give blue mages a bad rep, but sometimes they're just nice, and they're like, here, have 2 more damage. You don't have enough? Let me help you out a little bit. All right, we are in round 3 here, and this is not going to be keepable. Double Rite of Consumption, not really what you want to see, so we're already kind of on a mulligan to 6, because the chances of using both of these are low. We're on a 1-lander, and we kept one of those before, but this is not a 1-lander that looks super explosive. Even if we do get a land, we have Gassed into Vampire, which is, you know, even with an Unearth is like 5 damage, so this is just not good. This is quite a bit better. This is actually a very good hand. Carrion Feeder plus Beetle is a great combo. They both grow at the same speed. Infestation Sage is going to help them grow, and Village Rites is going to draw. And we get to throw back a Swamp, because 2 is all we need. We're going to start with the Sage, since we don't know what we're up against. I don't want to throw out a Feeder or a Beetle that could just die to a Lightning Bolt, a Grimbauble, a Piracy Charm, or anything like that. And they are Mistvault bridging it up. So Grixis or Esper, I would guess. And Grixis and Esper, let's see. They're going to have Cast Downs or Galvanics. They're going to have Krark. So a lot of reasons to not necessarily throw out the Feeder and the Beetle right away. However, Krark, if they are Grixis, Krark is a reason to get these to try to win as quickly as possible. And because of that, we're going to throw these out. We're also going to sack right away, because if we don't, if they play a Krark, then try to do 1 damage, which I know it's early, they're not going to necessarily want to, but if, say they have Krark Toxin, well, Krark Toxin was going to get us regardless, but say they have Krark Blood Fountain, then they can sacrifice a blood token. I have 3 1/1s. I have to sacrifice the creature, my Infestation Sage, and then they can sacrifice 1 artifact in response, kill both of our guys. Or rather, I would sack one to the other. But this way, they're already 2/2s, so they have to sacrifice 2 things, and then I have an insect token. So it's just better to be proactive and do that. The Refurb's really annoying here. Do we want to go for card draw or the Shambler? Shambler with stamina is obviously incredible. I think we want to do card draw, though. It also means we have to sacrifice this. We're gonna keep the Village Rites. Ideally, we find more fodder and like, Beetle's not bad, and like a Snuff out or something for Krark, so they can't get Krark Death Touch, which is the bane of our existence. We're gonna attack with everything. If they block either of these, we can just sack the insect token to keep it alive. They don't, so we'll just deal 5, and then I'm going to Village Rites the insect right now. I could get a swamp and like fodder or something, which I would love to get down in case they have a Krark and they don't have Death Touch. Just more stuff is important. Or we hit double swamp, which is not great, but at least we're getting a swamp down now. And now if we don't draw anything, then our feeder can't really attack here. Things are getting worse. Another familiar is going to take this swamp away. And they tapped out, which is really nice that they accidentally tapped a red when they didn't need it, which means they don't have a Galvanic or anything. We do draw a swamp, which is annoying. Let's see. So I could just attack with a 3/3 Beetle. That's the safest. If I attack with everything, they could block both 2/2s, but then I could sack the 3/3 Beetle and eat both their guys, which is a decent trade for us. Not amazing. Part of me wants to just pass so that if I draw like fodder, these guys get really big, but keeping their affinity count low is pretty good and important. Keeping their artifact count low for Krark is pretty important. A 2-for-1's decent, but then we have 2 3/3s. We hit for 0. Are those going to get across the finish line? Maybe if they're 5/5s. I think we got to pass. I'm going to keep the swamp because I really don't need more than 3 lands, and if they have another refurb, I'd rather they don't draw a card. Grixis is definitely a tough matchup, and this one's slipping a little bit already. We definitely could still get there, but that's going to be reliant on them drawing very little removal, which could happen. And we need to draw something more than swamps. 7, so they don't have any Mirror Enforcers because they would have cast them. They don't have Krark because they would have cast it. I mean, we're in the same spot as last time, so I think we'll pass. And hope for a good top deck from us and nothing from them. That's all I'm asking for. Not too much at all. Bargain a Wellspring, draw 3, Blood Fountain. That's annoying because now even if I get like fodder, they double chump and then they get to bring them right back. Sadistically, not really what we need. I could throw Sadistically on this Beetle, try to build up one creature that maybe we can then like, because if I throw it here and then attack, they block. Well, I can't attack with both of these because then if I sacrifice this, I lose this and this, which is bad. I could throw it on here and just attack with this. I think that's decent. My goal here, we're already in a very bad spot. One of the ways we could win is a little more chip damage and then getting an enormous creature that we write of consumption. And so that's kind of what I'm playing for. So if I get this Beetle to be like a 10/10 or whatever through creatures dying, then maybe we can get there. Now, they just took it, which is interesting. I could have sacrificed Beetle and Feeder to make it a 7/7. We would have put him to 9. And then if I get a Rite of Consumption, I'm pretty close. They played Gearseeker Serpent, interesting. But that didn't seem great. But this can survive a Galvanic pretty easily now, because if they try to Galvanic it, then I sack one creature and it lives, but it's not going to survive Krark. Well, this one might, but the other two are not. We'll see if they go for it right now. No Death Touch is very good for us. They attack for 2. Nested Shambler's something. If I play that, this can grow by 1, 2, 3, 4... So it's 7. Both of these would be 11. I mean, we're not playing it, so let's throw it out there. These still only be 4/4, so I can't attack into this, but I think I can attack here. I mean, if they block here, I have to sacrifice this twice, and then they have 5 damage marked on it, so this Krark might be able to eat it a little easier. Also, if I do this, and then they just respond with Krarking, I guess it's fine, though. Without Death Touch, the first ping of the Krark, no matter how many they have on the stack, is going to kill itself, and then I can, like, start sacrificing things in response. Probably keep some of our stuff alive, but they do just go for it. That's 2. 3. Pretty much no matter what they do, I can probably keep this Beetle alive because it's going to grow for every one of these creatures that dies, including the Krark. I guess these are going to survive. These I can sacrifice for +4, 5, so it'll be like an 8/8. I mean, if they do 6 where it kills the Serpent, then it would survive, but I guess they're doing 4 here. So we let one go, so it kills itself. This grows. 4, I guess I'd probably lose everything here, in which case I'd probably die. These are going to die, so we might as well sacrifice the Beetle. Fortunately, they made an update recently that makes it so you have to say yes to all the Beetles. You can't auto-yield, which is annoying. 1 more damage. Then this is going to die, so I might as well sack it to itself, which means this is going to be an 8/8, 10/10 with 5 damage. I think this might survive still, actually, right? Because it has 4 damage. Now it gets another counter from this and from the Glee. So 10, so it's 4 damage, and this is going to be 5. All right, so it's going to survive. They did not do their math correct. If it died, we concede. Since it didn't die, if they can't kill it, maybe I can get it up enough to Rite of Consumption. Again, we're still in a very bad spot, but if they don't find removal and we can find a Rite of Consumption, they're going to have to chump this, and then it's only a couple turns until it's big enough. They have a Makeshift Munitions, Blood Fountain. Makeshift can kill us in some time. Shambling Gas doesn't do us any good, so we'll swing. Dude, if we got a Rite of Consumption, we could have won right here because we ping them for 1 with the Squirrel. Oh, they have Toxin Analysis. Well, they didn't have it with the Krark, so I just assumed they didn't have it. And they have a Makeshift. What's that? Ah, sure. All right, we're going to die now. With Makeshift, they can kill anything, so there's no way we can gain any momentum. I was just hoping that they did not have the Toxin Analysis there. And they didn't have it for the Krark, and they miscalculated, so I really thought that might be our out, but unfortunately. So anything that can interact with a Krark is important, because Krark is the death of us, often. That means Spinning Darkness, Tragic Slip, and Fiend are generally what I want to bring in, because Fiend can take just about, I mean, it can take anything from hand, and they have a lot of cards that are really important to remove, but taking the Krark or the Death Touch can be really key. Snuff Out is another one that is good for the main deck. I think I probably... Spinning Darkness doesn't really do anything except hit Krark, because it can't hit Refurb, and it doesn't kill a Mirror Enforcer, but it is so important to get the Krark, which they're going to have probably like 3 of, that I think I've generally started keeping it in, or bringing it in rather. Yeah. And then Curse Marauder does not kill anything we really need it to. Sadistic Glee, we go all in on something and then it dies anyway, so that's not great. And then Snuff Out's another one to kill their Krark. So other than that, a couple Infestation Sages, I believe. Triple Kyrian Feeder. Man, if these were 2 Beetles, it'd be incredible. As is, it's pretty bad. I think we're going to get rid of that. This one is okay. It needs a Carrion Feeder. Maybe borrow one from the previous hand, but you have some card draw. We do have a Darkness to hit a Krark. Shamblagast is another one that can hit Krark if you have an instant speed way to sacrifice it, which Village Rites does, but I think we're going to get rid of the Ghast because I kind of need the card draw and the Link Breaker, and the Darkness could be good later. I think we're going to do this. I'm just going to start with the Beetle. If they just like Great Furnace, you know, Galvanic it, so be it. But if not, I get in for an extra damage by doing it this way with the Village Rites, freezing up a little bit. And we need these draws to be pretty good. If we draw 2 lands, we're probably just going to lose. And Carrion Feeder Beetle are pretty good. It's one of the worst matchups, right? Yes, it certainly is. Yeah, both it and Jund, because Krark and Death Touch is brutal, are very, very bad for us. I don't know if they're the worst matchups, because like Elves is really tough, but at least with Elves you get a lot of really good sideboard cards, whereas against Jund and Affinity you get okay sideboard cards. We don't obviously have any Artifact Hate because we are a mono black, so that's not great. Do I want to just sacrifice this Mercenary token for more damage? I'm going to want to sacrifice it anyway for these. If I get a Village Rites, it's going to suck because I'm going to not have anything to sacrifice. But I already have... I want more damage. I guess we're going to leave it. I really need to have a creature for like a Village Rites. But yeah, Jund and Affinity are both 2 of our worst matchups for sure. Snuff Out can kill a Mirror Enforcer, which I might need to. And the life gain's not super relevant. I mean, it's a difference of 7 life, and discarding the Snuff Out would allow me to play the Spinning Darkness. But in case I need to kill a Mirror Enforcer, I think I'd rather have the Snuff. Also, good choice that we did that, because they played a Bajuka Bog, which would mean the Spinning Darkness would be offline. So that was a good pick. They have no red mana, which is really good. Ooh, and we get a Rite of Consumption. I mean, I don't think I can win this turn, because the biggest I could make like a Beetle would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So it could be like a 6/6 or 6 power. But... so we're not going to write this turn, but it is still decent. I guess we just throw this on here because these are still going to be like 2/2s. Yeah. Because if I attack with these, they're 2/2s unless I sacrifice something else. Again, we could do what we did before, or thought about doing before, which is like, if I attack with all 3 and they block these, I could sacrifice this bigger Beetle to keep these 2 alive, which is not bad against what they've got going on, actually. If they block just one of them, though, do I want to do that? Not necessarily. I think with no red mana that they have currently, I kind of just want to pressure them, and like if I can kill a couple of their refurbs, I think that's pretty decent. Also, with this Rite of Consumption, like it's not great here to have to sacrifice a Beetle, but with this Rite of Consumption, we're already looking to consolidate into one big creature at some point anyway. Doing it now before, you know, we hit for a bunch is not great. Then again, let's count, because I could just sacrifice the Feeder to itself. We get in for 8 damage, they go to 7, and I currently have a 5 power Beetle, which is going to go back to 4. So if I do that, I could put him to 2, but that's not lethal. I think I got to keep the Feeder then. So let's sack this. They also don't have black mana, which is relevant because that means no Toxin. So we'll hit for 5, keep our guy alive. There's a Wellspring. And another Refurb. Well, Snuff Out's not looking good, and Rite of Consumption looks like it could win us the game here at some point, so we're definitely going to just keep that. They missed their land drop, which is great. Tragic Slip. Okay, so if I attack with both, and they don't block the Beetle, I can just win, because I deal them 5, and then I write for the last 5. They'll probably chump the Beetle, and then Carrion Feeder doesn't do anything, but I don't want to Tragic Slip here anyway. I'm still going to hold it. So yeah, we're just attacking, and if they don't block Beetle, whether they block the Carrion Feeder or not, we can get them. And if they do block Beetle, then we just let them go to damage. I guess if they double block Beetle, yep, then I could only hit for 3, and then I am not going to be able to Rite of Consumption, so I'm going to have to Tragic Slip here, which is bad against like a Krark if they then have it with Death Touch, but I cannot lose this Beetle right now. Certainly not if I'm only hitting for 3 or 4. I have a Fanatical Offering. Find red mana, but it is tapped. Please don't have the 4th Refurb. I guess, well, yeah, 4th Refurb would be a blocker and take our card. That's definitely their best thing. All right. Got there against Grixis because they had a rough draw, and we are going again. Let's see if we can win the match. Ooh, well, double Snuff Out's a little overkill. 3 lands is more than I want. Feeder Fiend is very nice, but this is just not going to win the game. There's no way. So we got to mulligan this. It's got a lot of the right stuff you want. 2 or 3 lands, but like if this was a piece of fodder, maybe. If this was a Beetle and this was a piece of fodder, definitely. But this one's just not going to work. Well, we have card draw, so it could be a decent hand. But you generally need a fast hand, and this is not a fast hand. Let's go down to 5. This hand's pretty good. Fortunately, we have to put back 2 of these, which is this, and I think it's got to be Link Breaker or Beetle. I really want the Fiend, although they're on 7 cards. Is 1 card that important? Yes, it is, because the Krark's really bad. I feel like I need the fodder. I think I need the Beetle. I think our goal is to draw more fodder, get 2 things here. Oh, and they start with red. That's not a good sign. We get the Link Breaker right back. I don't feel like I can play a Fiend, though, because they're just going to blast it. Even though I want to go Feeder into Fiend. I think I just go for the Link Breaker here. There's a Wellspring, Link Breaker. Ugh, everything's kind of rough here, because I could go Feeder, Beetle, but then they both die to either of them die to a Blast. I could go Link Breaker, Beetle, but then that like all dies to a Krark pretty badly. I think I do Feeder, Link Breaker, so if there's 1 blast I could survive it if I really want. Part of me wants to like not play the Feeder until the next turn. I can Feeder and Fiend, but I have no guarantee I'm getting a land drop, and I need to hit a Feeder here if I want to Fiend next turn, so I think this is what we do. They kept a 7-card hand, and they're missing a land drop. They have no black mana. Well, that's very good for us. Okay. Well, Beetle is kind of the best thing to play here, but that doesn't use our mana very efficiently. We probably just Fiend. If they have a Galvanic or something, then I can still just sort of save it in response. We're going to Fiend. I'm also very curious about this hand, but I assume there's a lot of good cards. It's just anything else is rough. Breath Weapon, Cast Down, Gear Seeker, Blood Fountain, Mirror Enforcer, Recognize Bargain. Yeah, incredible cards. It's got to just be Cast Down, I think. Breath Weapon I can just consolidate into the Feeder. Let's see. They get 1 land. If it's a tap land, they still can't play anything. If it's untapped, they could Breath Weapon. They could Mirror Enforcer. If it's a black land, they could play Refurb, Blood Fountain. Yeah, it's got to be Cast Down. And I don't want to sacrifice anything yet. If they go for a Breath Weapon, it's annoying because I'm going to have to sacrifice some of them. But ideally, they whiff for like 2 more turns, and I get to play a Beetle, and then I have 2 5/5 or 6/6s, as opposed to just the 1. They top deck a Thoughtcast. That's not the worst, because even if they hit a land drop, which they do, they can't play anything else. Still pretty decent for them. Village Rites is good for us, though. Okay, we're going to Beetle, and if I Village Rites here, I do lose a damage, but I could get a Swamp and untap, and I'm going to Village Rites at some point. Let's just do it. So we get a counter, get our Mercenary, and we draw 2. Not bad cards. So we're going to attack. So we know they have the Breath Weapon. I could not sacrifice everything now so that they kind of like want to go for the Breath Weapon, but they're probably going to anticipate that. They know the Breath Weapon's not going to kill these 2. They're probably going to Refurb Enforcer, which means I have another reason I want to have bigger creatures. So I'm going to sacrifice this for sure. I guess it's the same amount of damage, but question is, do I want to sack the Mercenaries? Because holding them could give me a bigger boost for like a Rite of Consumption, or I could just make 2 5/5s right now. They go to 10. 2 5/5s is pretty good. Plus, yeah, we're just going to sacrifice. Plus, I have a Shambling Gas. So if they do go for like Refurb Enforcer, then I have a Shambling Gas to pick off the Refurb, so they could just chump one of them, and I could potentially get in for lethal or almost lethal with the other one. Of course, we're in a very bad spot still to a Krark Death Touch. That's always the case, but we know 6 of their cards are not those. They do start with the refurb, and I think we're just getting rid of the vampire. I just don't think this is our game plan. I think this is our game plan with these guys. Now they have 1 mana Enforcer. Oh, they also have, yeah, they have Enforcer Bargain. So they could go up to 17. That's annoying. That's probably going to be their plan. Or Gear Seeker. Okay, fair enough. Another Beetle. So I could Shambling Ghast, pick off the Familiar. I have 2 6/6s. Then I play an Infestation Sage, 2 8/8s. So if I attack in, they don't have to they don't have to chump them both. They could just double block, which would be rough, although they'd go to 2, which means a Rite of Consumption off the top would win the game. I could play a Beetle here, and then Shambling Ghast, so we have a 3rd one starting to grow. That dies to a Breath Weapon. That doesn't seem very good. I'm definitely going to sacrifice this and pick off this guy. I have 2 6/6s. I almost want to just attack without playing Infestation Sage. The damage is pretty negligible. Actually, oh yeah, we're 1 short, because if I attack in and they double block with Infestation Sage, I have 9 damage on one of them. They go to 1, but I have 1 guy that's not getting in. So if I attack in and I don't play the Infestation Sage, I can bluff better that I have something else that maybe they want to double chump, but then it feels like 4 damage. They're probably just going to take that. I guess we're going to play Sage and attack. I mean, I have to attack it. If I lose one of these guys, that's not the best, especially if they then find a cast down or something. Also, I would love for them to double chump for a million reasons, but one of them is like their Bargain would not gain them 7 life. I feel like they're just going to double block. Yeah, I could sacrifice 1, 2, 3. They go to 1. I probably just eat the Serpent and deal them 4, or put them to 4 rather. Yeah, not necessarily a great spot anymore. They started finding the right cards right at the time they needed. Oh, and they have a refurb. That's always annoying. I mean, this Beetle wasn't doing a lot of good for us anyway, but they bargain the Wellspring. That's ambitious. Now if I get a Rite of Consumption... Oh no, they have a Krark. Well, if I get a Rite of Consumption right here, I could just win. Why no right off the top? I mean, if I keep passing and they don't preemptively kill my creature or gain life, a Rite of Consumption could win us the game. Attacking here doesn't do any good. I attack with the Beetle, they block with the Enforcer and the Refurb. It trades, and then I'm just... How do I ever win? My goal is that they continue to not kill our Beetle, and then we top deck a Rite of Consumption, and they don't have a counterspell. We have 2 rights in the deck. The Blood Fountain. Come on, top deck. That's a Swamp. Alright, we will pass. There's a Serpent. Swing for 2. I guess they could also have a Reckoner's Bargain in response, but again, this is just really our only game plan. Ugh, classic. Right when I need a clutch top deck, I just start drawing all lands. And there's a Bargain, but it was on a land, or it was on a token, so they're still at 6. Come on, they're being so greedy not gaining life off that Bargain. Karma should now repay them by letting us get the Rite of Consumption. They attack with a bunch because if I block here or here, they can Breath Weapon to kill it, which I can't let happen. I will block here. We take 10, so double Galvanic's gonna kill us, but I will try to distract them with the Supernatural Stamina. You know, if they want to force, use something on this, maybe that'd be okay. Come on, Rite of Consumption. That's a tragic slip. We have died. This draw card button never works. Yep, still not working. Well, we had an out. We just didn't get there. No one wants to face me. A little hurtful. Too afraid I'm playing Esper, that's true. If they knew I was playing Black Sack, they would be lining up to crush my little insects and zombies. Alright, you're against a Daybreak account, creator. This hand is okay. We have a Carrion Feeder and we have a lot of fodder with the Unearth. Snuff Out's decent. We're not going to throw it back. We're against more blue. Stamina's great. Alright, do we think we're going to get Force Spiked this time? I'm going to say no, but we have the Unearth if we do. Alright, we're fine. Brine Barrow. Alright, they are fairies. I maybe should have just snuffed this out. I'm going to hope they just go for a Ninja of the Deep Hours, and I can snuff that out. They do, and I will. Look, Snuff Out paying dividends again. Also, now I get to just Nested Shambler's Supernatural Stamina while they're tapped out. Seems good. Unless they're playing foil, they're not going to have a free spell to interrupt this. And I'm just going to sacrifice the 1 because if I go all in on this and they have a Snapper or Bind the Monster, it's worse. And just having a whole bunch of guys is going to be really good against them. Fairy Miscreant. We know they have a Brine Barrow in hand. Oh, they just play it out. That means they have an of 1 mind they want to cast. Yep, there it is. But I like that they're tapping out here. We can play down both of these. I could even sack a Linkbreaker Unearth if I want. We got another Stamina. Now this is pod racing. Oh, we only have 2 mana. I don't know why I thought we had 3, but still, Stamina is fantastic. Gotta love free spells. The other day I was playing against Dredge. He exhumed. I discarded Fairy Macabre, removed his creatures, got my Macabre back. Oh, with exhume. Yeah, that's sick. That is really funny. Taking away their creatures so they can't exhume and then getting a 2/2. Well, we're just gonna attack in. Yeah, free spells are sweet. Like, certainly they need to be done in moderation, but I'm relatively happy with most of the ones we have in the format here. They smartly block squirrels, because if they don't, they might have something like this happen. I'm gonna obviously sack the one that's gonna die here, and I'm happy to trade the other one with the miscreant. And then I will sack this shambler. After dealing a bunch of damage, it'll come back, get a bunch of guys, and we're gonna sack or play the link breaker, because that can also pump the shambler. Foil isn't too prevalent. Yeah, foil is very hard to, it's very expensive in cards. 3 cards for 1. But I think Kalikai's has used it to pretty good effect in familiars, which is great that it has a deck where it can be used. Snuff Out's maybe a little too powerful because it is played in a large majority of black decks. Fairy Macabre is, I'm not going to say too powerful. If graveyard decks are really prevalent, then Fairy Macabre's really crazy good, but it's because it's one of the only ways to keep those decks in line, so I'm very okay with that. Beetle's a good draw, although it could get spell stuttered, so I probably don't just play it here. Although I kind of want to do it before I sack a bunch of stuff, so I could play it, it gets spell stuttered, then I unearth it. Then I have 2 big creatures, or I just attack it and I play it post-combat, but then I might lose a couple of sacks. Oh, I was supposed to sack the Link Breaker so that I could pump the Shambler here on the end step, but I'm going to do the Beetle, I think. Yeah, I saw him foil a turn 1 land grant. I mean, land grant, like if your opponent keeps a land grant hand with no other land, like yeah, I would discard 3 cards to blow up my opponent's first and only land too. So that doesn't seem too unreasonable. Definitely funny though. Ooh, they just counterspell it. That's even better than a spell stutter. They could have a spell pierce here, but I'm still just gonna go for it. It's too high value. Like we're already in an incredible position, but I think having 2 enormous creatures as well as go wide is just going to be the nail in the coffin. They do have another Brine Barrow. If they target the Shambler, then I'm going to sack it in response, because if it dies and they do target it, if I let it resolve, then I wouldn't get any guys once it dies, because it would have 0 power. So let's just sack in response, so we at least get our extra squirrel. And then they're going to have to chump the feeder and try to eat a couple squirrels. If they block like this, I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can certainly win if they don't block the feeder. Okay, they were doing some math and they realize. All right, well, we'll sacrifice the squirrels that are going to die, grow our 2 creatures, and hit for 3, pass the turn. They do have a snap for the feeder. Pretty good in my hand, to be honest. They only have 1 other card. I already have a 4/4 Beetle. So if I just put this back in my hand, I attack with everything. They chump the Beetle, block a squirrel. They take 3, but they're losing a guy every turn. And they have the mana to play the card regardless, so unless it's like an F1 mind. So I'm going to let it go. Usually, you know, sometimes you want to sack in response, but I think that's fine. It is an F1 mind. Well, I still am fine with that. They have to hit like land counterspell for me to not be able to play the feeder again, and playing the feeder is just really good. Bind the monster is pretty good too. They bind on the Beetle. They take 4. So I'm still not too upset about that. If I had the feeder still, I could grow it in response, ping up for a bunch. Sack a Link Breaker maybe. It's not a terrible idea, but I'm planning to replay the feeder, so I'd rather still just have the fodder on board. I guess seeing as that I could play the Shambler, sacrifice it, I would have just as many sacrifices there this turn, but I would also not have as good of an attacker, right? Because I'd have a mercenary here. I guess I could pump onto the squirrel. That's not bad because it would trade. I could see it both ways, but since I was replaying the feeder, I think I'd rather have the extra counter on it after it comes back, was my thought process. Then we attack. This isn't the best attack ever because we lose 2 for 2 damage, but they're also at 4, so I'm kind of okay with that. Sack these and put them to 2. And then I just have a bunch of lethal guys. I don't know what they could draw here. All right, so we get game 1. Fairies is a tough match, but luckily we've got the Snuff Outs, which already did incredibly there. Spinning Darkness and Drown in Sorrow are also ones I really like, as well as Fiend. There's a lot of good stuff to bring in here. Rite of Consumption is too high risk, because if they counter it, which they often can have counters, then we're just going to lose. Curse Marauder's okay. Generally, I usually cut it because it doesn't kill exactly what you want it to. So like on turn 2, it can be really good, but otherwise it's not necessarily the best. Sadistically is fine against Bind the Monster because you can make an enormous creature and still ping them for a bunch, but bad against Snap, so I cut those. Shambling Gas is obviously phenomenal. You'd never want to cut those. This is one of the matches they're here for. That leaves us with 3 more cards. This is a match, certainly, where Infestation Sage is better. You don't want to cut these because they block flyers. So if I'm cutting anything, which I probably am, it's going to be Link Breakers. And Fiends are just very, very good. I haven't played 3 Drown in Sorrows in here before, because Drown in Sorrows, like, obviously you want as many as you can against elves. Some people, I think, don't think it's great against fairies, but I've found that very often I can bait them into countering a Snuff out or whatever, and then like get him with a Drown in Sorrow for like a 3 or 4 for 1. And usually I had a Plague Drusulka as my 3rd Drown in Sorrow slot, so now I'm just doing 3 of these. So we'll see how it is. But yeah, I guess we're cutting 3 Link Breakers. It's kind of a lot. Maybe I could like keep 1 in for a Drown in Sorrow or a Mez Fiend or something. But I think we'll just see how this runs. This is interesting. Not very good. I don't mind a hand that's like reliant on Drown in Sorrow, so it's like, oh, I need to play a little slower, leverage shit, and then eventually Drown in Sorrow. But Shambler on 1, Fiend without sacrifice, I can't play the Spinning Darkness, like none of this looks very good. This hand is okay. It's not the best thing ever. We'll get rid of 1 Carrion Feeder. Maybe I should just get rid of a Bloodthrone Vampire, because it's kind of worse in this matchup, especially without the Rite of Consumption. But we get the Carrion Feeder right back. I guess now I'm glad I didn't. Double Stamina is fine if we can get them to, if we can get land, first of all, and then if we can get them to go off with the Infestation Sage, so that we can counter things, it'd be great. Not bad. I did kind of, because we were on a mulligan to 6, I kind of forgot about the fact that 1 land, especially against fairies, is not very good, and so generally you should mulligan it again. So I probably should have gone down to 5 here, because now I can't play an Infestation Sage, because then they'll just spell stutter it. I could throw away my Carrion Feeder to get like a Brine Barrow out, in which case then I could Infestation Sage, but that's no good. Yeah, and if you're stuck on 1 land against fairies, you basically just lose. So that was not the keep. And they have a Snap. I mean, we're not going to use our mana anyway, so I don't really care too much about denying this. We're going to just Stamina this, and then, but I can't afford to spend another turn deploying a Carrion Feeder and then like Infestation Sage, so I'm just going to 1-for-1 them, keep my Carrion Feeder around, and not have to put it back in hand. Plus it does deny them if they wanted to then like spell stutter or whatever, but it's not going great. And now they have a Binding Monster. They do tap out for it though. I guess I'll play an Infestation Sage. I mean, we're drawing exclusively sack outlets when we already had 3 in our opener, so not very good, I will say. But they don't have a Brine Bear Intruder, because if they did, they would have blocked, or they would have attacked probably, or they just want to hold up their spell stutter, which is also fair. Ugh, I wish we had put the Shambling, we had the Shambling Gas to put on the field last turn, because then I could hold this up against a spell stutter. I guess they already have another fairy, so it doesn't matter that much. I'm just gonna pass. Running out of 1/1 into their spell stutter is not good. A 1-drop, and if they do tap out here, then I could like, which is unlikely, I could Stamina the Sage to get an extra thing. They draw 2. That's pretty nice. I wish I had a couple draw 2s. They have nothing. Okay, so they didn't want to attack with this because I have a insect. We are not using anything else, so I'm going to Stamina this. If they want to spell stutter it, then at least they're tapped out. If not, then at least I can get another guy on the field. They do spell stutter. I mean, if I had the mana, now would be a great time for like a Drown in Sorrow, but I would just take a swamp. I guess not. Well, I think I gotta get this Village Rites going, so I'm gonna attack for 1. Village Rites, hope to hit a swamp. Then I can also get a Shambling Gas down, plus I have a fairy to block. That would be pretty decent. Alright. Every single Carrion Feeder we've seen, one of them's on our the bottom of our library, and 3 Bloodthrone Vampires. That's exactly where you want to be. Alright, Shambling Gas is pretty decent, though. If they attack here, I'll just pick off the... I guess I can't block everything, right? I could pick off the Sprite here, and then block here. And they get in with the Hacker, which I don't like. So I guess I just block here and block here. If they want to pick up the Miscreant, that's fine. If they do pick it up with like another Moon Circuit, then I could Shambling Gas that. But it's a Ninja with the Deep Hours and a Brine Bear Intruder to kill the insect. That's fine, because this Shambling Gas can still just pick off the Sprite. And it's going to die now, so I might as well sack it to the Feeder, which is probably irrelevant to have extra power, but might as well. I could make a treasure, but I have 5 cards in hand and legitimately do not have anything that's very good to play, so I'd rather just kill the spell stutter. They have a Fairy Miscreant in hand. Swamp's not terrible. I guess I'll play a Carrion Feeder if they want to spell stutter it. That's fine. It doesn't block anyway. I would love a Snuff out, but these creatures are all just so bad anyway. Like 7 sack outlets with nothing. I mean, I can block the Ninja and sack the Carrion Feeder, so it's hard for them to attack with it, which is something. They attack with the Brine Barrow because they're fine if I block and sack for that. I'm not gonna... If they have 2 ninjas, it's really bad, I guess, but they probably are going to use their first ninja on the spell stutter either way, and they don't have it, so... Miscreant and pass. There's a Mesmeric Fiend. I would love to use that. I guess I'm going to Carrion Feeder and then Mesmeric Fiend. Yep. I was expecting that. I mean, assuming I can get through counterspells here, this is where the Drown in Sorrow would be top-notch. It could set us back to pretty much even, and then, I mean, we're both top-decking, but it's still better than nothing. Also, if we don't expend our Carrion Feeder here for the Vampire, then the Vampire could survive. But they attack with everything, which tells me they probably have a Brine Barrow, so they get to force me to sack this and then Brine Barrow to keep their ninja alive. Or maybe they're just willing to do it because they have like more ninjas or whatever, but yeah, there's the Brine Barrow. So they hit for 4, we're at 9. They have 1 card. Come on, Drown in Sorrow off the top. That's a swamp. Look at my 3 Bloodthrone Vampires that are doing, they're doing great. Do all 3 vampires sit on the Blood Throne, or do they take turns? What an excellent question. They are all, yeah, they all sit on the throne at the same time. It's an enormous throne. The throne is the size of a ballroom, and so they just, you know, it's one throne, but it's a whole bunch of seats. Everyone could sit on it at the same time. They have another Brine Barrow, so if they're gonna shrink this, I could sack this to eat the ninja. They could probably have a counter spell, but if they don't, I think the only way we win here is we top deck a Drown in Sorrow, which means I would like to have the second Bloodthrone Vampire to sack to the first one to keep it alive through the Drown in Sorrow, so we're not going to kill the ninja here, because I'm pretty much dead to anything else anyway, and if they have a counter spell, I'm dead to that too. Drown in Sorrow. All right, we are hoping they do not have a counter spell as their last card, although they've been holding on to it for a few turns, so we will see. Here's a Drown in Sorrow. Please lose all your creatures. It worked. And we have another vampire on top. Please get away from me. All right. We are still in a very bad spot. However, after several games of me begging for the out that we have, we got there. They play an island. Swamp is not what we need now. Very communal throne. Indeed. Very much so. I just need some fodder. And then maybe some beetles, and then some other stuff. Bind the monster. Well, I suppose I will let it deal 1 damage to you. The really annoying part that I am pissed about is we have now seen all 8 of our sack outlets. In 19 cards, I will tell you. 18 that we've drawn, 1 that we put on the bottom. That means that some of our best draws should be sack outlets, in addition to fodder, and we don't even have those to draw. We have 2 on the bottom, actually. I guess it was 20 cards because we had 2 on the bottom. We scryed 1 and we put 1 on the bottom originally. It doesn't really matter if we just draw a bunch of swamps. We're just going to die to this 1 miscreant. But, I mean, this Sage blocks the miscreant, assuming they don't have a counterspell still. But now I have to trade, like, this whole card for this whole card, which is annoying. I'll do it, but I don't want to. I still think we're going to lose this one, but it was kind of cool getting like an 8 for 1. I assume their last card is just an island. They're doing what we're doing to bluff interaction. They play an island. Probably means they don't have another. Are they willing to trade is the question. Because I will trade. Not only could there be a ninja, although I don't think that's likely, but I can't afford to trade 1 for 1 damage on them right now. We also don't have a Rite of Consumption in our deck because we sided them out, which I think is right. But that means we don't have that as an out if we just get a vampire big. Beetle is great. That's a very good draw. This also means we get to attack with this one because we'll just sack it and block. So actually we get to trade 1 for 0 if they're not willing to trade, which is kind of cool. And now that they waited, this Beetle will be a 3/3. Harrier Strix, okay. Also cool because the Sage is not going to... I mean, Strix is a very good draw for them because they get to start looting. But the Sage can be an instant speed blocker, so they couldn't Strix it down, which is cool. Discard an island. They can loot once more. They probably should wait until our turn because then they can't bluff spell stutter or anything. We are going to sack. I assume since they're attacking it, maybe it's because they got the Strix. Maybe it's because they drew like a snap or something. But I said 3/3 Beetle, which it will be if I sack the vampire to itself, which I might, but I want to trade this insect for this, so I'm not going to sack. Obviously, they got another Bind the Monster. Cryo Shatter. Come on. Okay. Let's get, like, another Infestation Sage. Tragic Slip. I will kill this before they can get any more value out of it. They can loot, but that's basically just mill a card, which is fine if they want to do that. They were lucky to hit an island, so they didn't draw that. And they get a Fairy Miscreant. Come on. Drown in Sorrow? Do I need to drown for this 1 Fairy Miscreant? I think we're going to wait. It could be wrong. Obviously, if they get a ninja or something, it's really good. But if whatever they get, they're probably going to, like if it's a ninja or something, they're going to play it, then replay the Fairy Miscreant. So then Drown can get a 2 for 1. I don't know. If they get a counterspell or whatever, it's bad. If they get a ninja, it's bad. But I also have to like lose the Beetle. There's a Sage. All right. Once again, we got a Sage. If they have the spell stutter, then I can Drown in Sorrow in response. All right. Not in response, unfortunately, just in general. I might as well have a Bloodthrone Vampire on the field. So let's sacrifice this Beetle and then Drown in Sorrow again. What a game here. Get rid of that swamp. Going into turn 17. Swamp. They played an island. No, they just drew something. They didn't even play it. They have a Brine Barrow. I do think when we're top decking, their cards are slightly better than ours. Some of theirs draw cards and stuff. I mean, we haven't seen a Village Rites since the beginning of the game. That would be a good draw for us. Fairy Seer. All right, I want a Village Rites into another Drown in Sorrow, and then something else too. Come on, it's not too hard to ask. I also scryed 2 to the bottom. Okay, well, we have 1 more turn because they can deal us 2 here. Oh, they drew the ninja. Well, that's going to be lethal. That's no fun. What if I top deck another Drown in Sorrow? You don't want to go another 3 minutes? All right. We should keep a better hand, for sure. Not see all 8 of our sack outlets in one game, please. That would be my preference. It's another 1-lander. It's not a bad one, though. We have a Shambling Ghast. We have a Snuff out. So I can get a Carrion Feeder down turn 1. Then I can Ghast. It's very all-in on 1 Carrion Feeder, which means 1 Snap or Bind the Monster, or Cryo Shatter, of which they clearly have a bunch. We probably lose to, so I'm going to go down, but I don't love it. It's another 1-lander. I don't think we can go down infinite 1-landers, so I guess we'll keep this one and get rid of the Drown in Sorrow. We still have the Shambling Ghast for interaction. I like this one less, though, because we don't have the Snuff out, obviously. And Drown in Sorrow is good late game or top deck, but it's obviously not the one that we want right here. We will play a Ghast, and we will pass. There's no reason to attack in. Brine Barrow, we could save our guy, but then we're forced to use the Shambling Ghast, and we don't want that. They attack. I could block, trade. Doesn't seem very good. If they want a Ninja, that means no Spell Stutter. If they do a Moon Circuit Hacker, I could just pick it off. Ninja to Deep Powers. Swamp. Nested Shambler. Well, we're going to Link Breaker. I could sack Ghast, get a Treasure, play a Shambler, have like a big Carrion Feeder attacking. I think that seems worse. We're going to block with this Link Breaker. I guess if they have like a Harrier Strix, then I'll just have to sack the Link Breaker and turn it into a Mercenary and then block with that. I will block. Interesting. They're going to Brine Barrow the Link Breaker because I could let the damage go through and then Shambling Ghast to pick off the Ninja. Probably wasn't going to do that, but I appreciate them throwing out a Brine Barrow here. And they always have the Bind the Monster. I could sacrifice these and make it 4 damage in response. Doesn't seem very good. Vampire. So here I could Shambler, Mercenary up the Shambler for more attackers / blockers. They did miss a land too, which is relevant. Which means I definitely don't want this Ninja ever connecting, although I obviously didn't already. Could get down a Carrion Feeder because I kind of want a new one growing, obviously. And then we just block, trade this for this. Yeah, because I don't want to let the Brine Barrow hit us either because they could just have another Ninja. I could do Shambler and stuff, but then we're growing this feeder, which I don't really want at this point. They just go straight through combat. Love to see that. All right, we get our land. They could have a Spell Stutter, but we have the Shambling Ghast for that because they only have 1 fairy, or would only have 1 fairy. And we hit our land drop, which is great. So we get to cast a Shambler. They could also just counterspell, but then I could unearth it. They do go for the Spell Stutter. I will sack the Ghast to pick off the Spell Stutter. With no fairies, the Shambler will resolve. Now if I Mercenary this, sack, they're all tapped, and this can't block, so that's all pretty rough. I think I might want to unearth the Ghast because the Ghast is doing great work. Let's just do that and leave these all up, and I'm going to attack here because if they want to block, that's great. I can sack a bunch, keep it alive. 1 2 3 4 5. I can make it a 7/7. Obviously not going to do that. They're going to swing this time. I'm going to have to lose a Mercenary or a Shambler to block both of these, but I definitely want to block both of these. So let's block Mercenary here, Shambler here. I guess, do I want to lose the Ghast? I guess I could double block here. Then if they Brine Barrow, I guess they Brine Barrow, then Shambler's kind of annoying. How about just trade with Ghast? You're saying like just trade the Shambler for this one, the Ghast for the Ninja. I want to block the Brine Barrow. My initial thought was block like this. I can sack the Ghast to pick off the Ninja, so I'll still be trading with it. But I definitely want to block both of these because they've been missing land drops. I don't want them to get a Ninja down. So I think I have to throw away 2 of these. I don't want to lose the Shambler for a Spell Stutter, but also if I'm playing a 2-drop, it might not matter as much. So I could do this, but I could double block. And then this kind of gives a Brine Barrow power because I could just pick off the Shambler fully. My Ghast is still around. I guess it's probably better to just do this and pick off the Ninja. Yeah, let's do that. Now, before, when they were, the Ninja had the potential of dying because of the Ghast, they Brine Barrowed it in response. I could just let it go off, which would kill the Ninja. By doing this, I'm allowing them to once again Brine Barrow here, but I think it's fine. That's how they want to spend their mana. Otherwise, we get to kill the ninja, which is good. And they leave their mana up. Slip's pretty good. I'm just going to vampire. They can't spell stutter it, but they could counterspell if they want. That's fine. It's not... Ooh, snap in response is really annoying. I guess I should have just attacked first. I just wanted an extra guy just in case. So snap. I could sack. If I sacrifice, then vampire resolves. If I let this go, I have a feeder in hand, then they counterspell this, and then I just have a shambler. That's pretty bad. I think we're going to sack it to this other one, because I don't want him to cast anything else this turn. I will leave the shambler back. I'll probably block with the Bloodthrone Vampire, but if they have like a Carrier Strix, I really just... If they get a ninja down, that's going to be very bad for us. So if they start drawing lands, that's going to be bad for us too. So as long as they're not drawing lands, we're in a decent spot. They don't attack. Great. We get a swamp. I will play another vampire. I want to make sure this resolves before I potentially attack with this vampire. So this time I'm not making a mistake. Okay, so I could just attack. Could Tragic Slip this while they're tapped out. So then I don't have to play around their crap. It could be decent. We attack for 4. Yep. They have a lot of cards, but... We're basically trying to tempo them out at this point because they have way more card advantage. So let's see if we can do that. They finally find their island. Hopefully it will not be enough, although being able to play a guy while holding up a spell stutter still is pretty good. I was hoping that they would not be able to do that. So now if I get something, well, Snuff Out's pretty good. I don't want to attack with this because then if they Brian Bear it, it's not great. I'm just going to attack here and I'm not going to deal him. Yeah, so we're just going to pass. And I guess I snuff this out in their upkeep so that they can't, or right here, spell stutter. Yes, that was smart. Kill the spell stutter probably, but they are going to get a ninja down. I can't do anything about it. They are at 9 though. Hacker. I killed the spell stutter because obviously I don't want them to have a spell stutter here. They might still have one, but they Strix. So clearly they're not holding one up, and they miscreant. Okay. Come on, a good draw. Unearth is a great draw. What does that find us? Shambling Ghast can pick one of these off. I guess if I get a Link Breaker, then I force a chump. That's probably better. Shambling Ghast, actually, that's not forcing a chump. That's forcing them to lose a guy of our choice as opposed to their choice. Plus Link Breaker. Link Breaker can be comboed with this. I think it's probably better to do it this way. Let's attack. They have to block because we have 9 damage here. I will sacrifice the Link Breaker and... I will pass. Hi, could you play a league with an elf deck? I gotta be honest, I'm not an elf fan. I don't really love how it plays, so it's just not, I don't think it's in the cards for me to play it. I see elf as kind of a combo deck. Elves is kind of a combo deck, and I'm generally not a fan of combo decks. So I think there are some other creators who play some elves, and so I would highly suggest them, but it's not going to be it for me. Okay, we have a Drown in Sorrow. That could be interesting. I could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with the vampire. That's not quite enough. Tap this and then sack to make it lethal. Then I have all tapped creatures. That's kind of annoying. Well, hey, good to catch you live. I'm glad you're here. We are in a very intense match, in my opinion. I'm going to sacrifice this anyway. I guess I might not, because they're going to be forced to block. So I sack this, and I have a chump blocker. Oh, God. Yeah, this is a real tough one. Right on the cusp. So this is forcing a chump block, because it's 9 damage that I could deal. This Drown in Sorrow is potentially going to be pretty good, but the problem is if I use it, I lose my Shambler and all the squirrels it will make no matter what, because it would have 0 power, which means I probably don't want to use it unless I really have to. I could have, if they were tapped out, I could have sacrificed everything to make the vampire a 9/9, then Drown in Sorrow, but my guy would go down to a 7/7, then I have just a 1/1. It's probably not going to work. I could hit him to 2. I think we got to sack this mercenary, unfortunately. Now if they have like a snap or something that's pretty bad, we're going to pass. I'm also like against the clock, but I think the game's going to be over in 3 minutes or less anyway, but I probably should play a little faster. There's a Miscreant and an Of One Mind. Any developments with the Lizards deck? I tried my own version and managed to go 4-1 with a Sonic variant, but I just scooped to aggro. I have Simic variant. Okay, I was wondering. I have not worked on it more. If I'm completely honest, I think it's a deck that I brewed and think is interesting, but I probably won't get back around to. It is cool, but I don't know if it really has long-term potential. I think maybe if we get some more cards like Lizards or some other cards that pay off, or, maybe some ways to survive the aggro a little bit better, it could be good. Okay. I could Drown in Sorrow. That's not going to work. We're going to Sage. I guess this is bad to a Spell Stutter. Can't do much about that. Opponent says, what a fun match this has been. I agree. That was not what I wanted to see, though. I could attack. They block. I have to sack. Then they get their ninja. That's no good. Of one mind. I mean, they've been above us in value this entire time, but they're pulling way ahead here. I think the only way we win this is like they overextend. I assume this is like a snap. They overextend, and I can Drown in Sorrow to wipe their board. So we get the Miscreant, Moon Circuit Hacker, and Shambling Ghast. I could Drown in Sorrow. That doesn't do anything. Really? Shambling Ghast. I mean, assuming they just have some counter spells we're going to lose. Snap the Vampire. That's pretty annoying. I don't think sacking it does me any good there, though. If they now spell stutter this, I guess I'll just cast it. I'm sure they can counterspell it now. I guess now I just trade off and then hope the Drown in Sorrow works. And I probably make a treasure from this in case I get, like, I don't know, Miscreant back in hand. Yeah, I think we got a Drown in Sorrow to have a chance, so we might as well make the treasure in case we can, like, follow up with a Carrion Feeder. But the Miscreant, there's another Miscreant to draw more cards. And there's a Stamina. Well, let's go for this. And if this doesn't resolve, we will concede. Alright, well, it was a very fun match, but they definitely got us in the end there. Now they say it's fun because they were safe with 7 cards. Yeah, I mean, it was fun the whole time. I don't think they were BMing at all. I think Fairies versus Black Sack is one of the more interesting matchups you can play. Definitely us having the Snuff outs helped a lot. Game 1, honestly, I think that one Snuff out kind of won us that game 1. Yeah, no, I don't have any ill will for that. I think they were fine. Okay, well, if you wanted elves, I will say we are probably playing against an elf player right here. This is not a great hand against elves. Well, it's not a bad hand against elves. It's okay. We're not going to get rid of it. Etherize at common would be cool. That is one I've thought about suggesting to be common, because I've mentioned, I have some videos where I make suggestions for downshifts. But it does seem very, very powerful. Maybe a little too powerful. What are the chances they block this beetle? 0, I think. We'll just attack. If I played the vampire first, they might be more incentivized, because it's like, oh, all I'm trading off is like, they're trading this for one of these, but I think this here was good. But yeah, I think Etherize would be, part of me likes the idea of it, because it's like blue could use some effects against Go Wide. Some good effects, but it's also like, well, that's one of the best ways to kill terror, and like then just hard control decks are gonna like really utilize it to an intense degree, and so it could end up being worse. Okay, I was hoping we would get a Supernatural Stamina or a Shambling Ghast or something. We did not, so we are just gonna do this. We have to sack right now because I'm going to unearth this guy, and then we're going to attack in, which probably won't force any blocks. Then they'll get like an enormous Nyxborn or whatever. So I have 5. Each of these could be 3, so that's 9, 14 damage I could deal. But the beetles stay. I think I'll sack this one since they have... I want to keep myself open to having drawing a Supernatural Stamina, but I wanted to hit for a little more damage. Because if we get a Rite of Consumption, I could like 1, 2, 3, 4. I could deal 9 off a Rite, which is not quite enough. Timberwatch and another Timberwatch. Well, that basically means if we don't win this turn, we die, I believe. Untap the Priest. There's a Lead the Stampede. Another Timberwatch and a Llanowar Elves. There's the Elves. A Masked Vandal. Okay. Not another Timberwatch is interesting. I guess just a more expendable creature. Okay. I don't know what we could possibly draw here. Village Rites is a good one. If we could get... Okay, so if we attack, they're just going to chump with a couple, and then they have a million guys to attack back, so that's not great. So how can we win this? We basically have to get a Rite of Consumption, and I have to get a creature 2 lethal with Rite of Consumption. The way to do that, Vampire currently could sacrifice these 3 to go to a 7/7. That's not enough. So I think I have to Village Rites our Beetle, and I hope I draw Supernatural Stamina, Rite of Consumption. Because if I Village Rites the Shambler, I don't really have any ways to get there, I don't think. I guess I could attack first, but... there's an off chance they block a couple guys on the vampire and I have to sack something to it, and that's bad. So I'm going to Village Rites this beetle because I believe the only way we win is Supernatural Stamina, Rite of Consumption. And that's a Shambler. So that's not going to do it. I could play that, sack. I have 9 damage. They don't even have to block. And then these guys deal 24 damage with the Quirion Ranger, and then we die. Well, we didn't see them, but this is what Snuff Out is for. This is what Drown in Sorrow is for. Luckily, we have 3 of them. Ideally, we can find some. And then, what do we take out? Often, I think a Curse Marauder is not good enough. And I think that's probably true. They just have so many guys too quickly. And Unearth at this point. I previously was bringing in Mesmeric Fiends. That doesn't seem the best at this point, to be honest. I think we just cut, like, an Infestation Sage. But we basically have to get a Drown in Sorrow or, like, the turn 3 2 beetles and a feeder kind of a thing. I mean, this has the mana to play a Drowned Sorrow, card draw to find it, plus a Snuff out to slow him down. I think we keep. I could just hard mulligan to find a Drowned Sorrow, and maybe that would be right. But, you know, that does not often work. Stamina, attack. I think we just play a vampire. I don't think I'm going to snuff out the Llanowar Elves. I think we're going to save it for a priest or something else scarier. The priest. And no extra land drop is great for us. Another stamina. All right, well, we're going to attack. The only thing we have to spend mana on is stamina and rights, so we might as well stamina the link breaker, hit for 4, right of consumption, or not, village rights, the other rights. Get this back, draw 2 cards, and Shambling Guest is a great one. I think, that's interesting. I guess I could pick off both of these and then we probably are just winning. Part of me wants to wait on the Shambling Guest until next turn with the stamina. That seems a little better, actually. Let's pick off the priest, play the Ghast. So I could pick this off, but I could kill 2 creatures next turn if they have like this or something. Yep. Corian. This is maybe a little bad if they play like a Timberwatch, because then Vanguard. Okay. Ooh, and then Birchlore. So the Vanguard's going to grow. Do I care about that? Not really. I think it's fine. I could pick it off in response, but then we have all the rest of these guys still there, and that seems not good for us. Drown in Sorrow. That's pretty good. I think that'll just win us the game, probably. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this will be 10 damage. Pump this. Yeah. We'll just attack with everybody. Oh, they do block the vampire. Fair enough. So I guess I probably don't have to Drown in Sorrow this turn, to be honest, because they're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. I think that'll be fine. So I could Stamina the Link Breaker, and then this is a 3/3, so I have to sack 2 of these. Yeah, Stamina Link Breaker, and sack the Shambling Ghast to shrink this, so that I don't have to sack anything else. And these come back. I could pick one of these off, but if I'm going to Drown in Sorrow anyway, it might make sense for me to let them have more mana so that they will extend more, and then I can drown everything, is my thought process at least. There's a Timberwatch. That's the type of card I want to kill. And a Carrion Feeder. Okay, that's decent, because I kind of this vampire can be like 9 damage, but then it can't finish up very nicely. So I think we just Carrion Feeder, pump, and then sacrifice this, this, and this. And then we Drown in Sorrow. Snuff Out's good to keep on top. And then we can just attack in. And then we still have a 4/4 to finish the game relatively quickly. Because if we just did a vampire, there's a world, if it takes 6 turns to attack them, if we draw nothing, that we could die. So maybe play it a little slow or overcautious, but I just don't want to lose them. Let's try again and hope we have a Drown in Sorrow in our opener. We don't, but we do have a Shambling Ghast and a pretty decent hand. We have some card draw to find it, so we're going to keep. They go to 6. Play a Mystic. Ooh, we get a Feeder. Let's play that. There's a Quirion Ranger. If they play like a Priest or something, I'm going to kill it. There it is, with the Shambling Ghast and a Birchlore. So I'm going to play a Shambling Ghast. I'm going to get the Beetle going, and then I'm going to pick off the Priest of Titania. Swing for 2. If they want to trade both of these for this, I will take that trade. A Winding Way. Dispel goes to the graveyard. Birchlore, Findhorn, not too bad. Still need that Drown in Sorrow. Swamp, Link Breaker, Shambler. We're going to attack. This represents 4, what is that, 16 damage? I thought maybe they would trump because they'd be worried about the Shambler, but they clearly want all their creatures, which is fair. So I'm going to Village Rights this Link Breaker. Maybe I should have done this before I played the Shambler, because then if I draw a Shambling Ghast, I could use it. My thought process was trying to intimidate them into chump blocking, but there's the stamina. But I got another Shambler, so I probably just hit for more damage here. Especially if we do draw like a, hey... in case we do draw a Drown in Sorrow, our guys are going to die anyway. So hit for 9. We still have Rite of Consumption in our deck too, so I might want to just hit for as much as possible. This does equal 1 extra guy next turn, but I think we'll just go for the damage and hit for 11, so that if we get a Rite of Consumption, we win. Shambler plus Stamina equals 2 lethal attackers. I mean, pretty much anything is 2 lethal attackers at this point. So at least they'll have to chump block. Is that a Distant Melody they're about to play? Draw 6. Lead the Stampede. Okay. They were tapping for blue, so I wasn't sure. Findhorn, Esper Sentinel, Elvish Vanguard. None of those are that scary. I mean, it's more creatures that can chump block, so it's not my favorite thing, but they're not the worst. Findhorn. Vanguard does grow, so it'll survive a Drown in Sorrow. But if we get to drown... I guess we wouldn't quite be lethal, but if we Drown in Sorrow, we're going to win the game, because they're just going to not have creatures. I play all of those. Even just like a Snuff Out or something would be pretty good. There's a Link Breaker. Well, I guess we will just play these guys out and force a couple chump blocks, and then we could just make a bunch of 1/1s at the very least. We don't need to do that now because they chump blocked anyway. Well, because they had to, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have like 7 or 8 mana, so they do have some stuff. I mean, we need to draw well still before we're going to be able to, you know, win. Play Llanowar Elves. Now they have the Distant Melody. Yeah, draw 8. Okay, let's see if they can win off of that. I guess they only have 2, 3 mana left. Probably hard to win here, but Well-Wisher is going to keep them alive if we can't kill them. Sentinel. Well, it's pretty much top deck or bust. So I don't think we're going to be able to fight through this. We are going to Shambler this on the end step for just a bunch of extra attackers, though. And might as well sack the Link Breaker. Drown in Sorrow. 1 time. Well, 2 times maybe, but it's a Carrion Feeder. I mean, that can be another lethal attacker, so I guess we play it. Pump the Shambler. But, I mean, I guess if we still just find like a Drown in Sorrow next turn, maybe we can win or like survive, but like it's kind of rough. They block the Shambler. We will sack it to the new Carrion Feeder, and they're at 4. Pass. Right of Consumption would have been a draw 2, so that's 5 cards that we could have gotten, not to mention any other removal, of which we have 6 others with Shambling Ghast, and I guess we saw 1 Shambling Ghast, so we had 10 really good draws. We did not find any of them. And another Quirion Ranger means this Well-Wisher can now gain him like 30 life. Also, I didn't keep any blockers, so I guess if they can just deal enough with this Vanguard, looks like that's probably not going to happen. This Vanguard's a 10-10, so they probably can't hit for more than like 15. They can gain 1 billion life, but if we were to Drown in Sorrow right now, we could still get them, because we could just chump block the Elvish Vanguard forever, everything else is dead, and we could attack it. Lead the Stampede for Timberwatch, Quirion Timberwatch. Well-Wisher. They've also bounced all their lands, so, you know, that'd be good too. I guess 1, 2, 3 lethal attackers, and they have 5 blockers, so I guess, yeah, a Drown in Sorrow would, I guess, not win us the game, because they're at 30. Whatever. Drown in Sorrow is still our best draw. And we get another Carrion Feeder. Attack with these 2. We can make them big enough to eat this. This one, we'd have to sack way too much. We'll attack with these 2. They chump block, and we'll pass. Well, if they find like a Nyxborn Hydra that give this trample, they can probably get in for lethal. Well, maybe. But they didn't find the Timberwatches until this turn. So this is our last turn, because if they untap with these, any attacker will be lethal. So now it is truly Drown in Sorrow, or nothing. And it's a Shambler. That does not matter. I guess if we have enough blockers for every single creature, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, no, probably can't get there. But I guess they might not attack with everything. Probably will, though. Let's attack with the Feeder. They chump block, and we'll pass. So yeah, we have 8 blockers. I guess they don't have enough. They can have enough lands to untap these twice. Plus, they already tapped twice, so that's 4. So yeah, they can certainly make anything lethal. Another Distant Melody. Why not? Great card for Elves, unfortunately. It certainly is. Definitely draws a couple cards. They don't attack. Oh, I will say that deck command was for the Esper deck we were playing earlier. So it's not going to be shown what we're playing right now. What we're playing right now is this Black Sack with a couple Snuff outs. Otherwise, it's basically my main list. We got a Tragic Slip, which is it. That's too late, and I guess it wouldn't matter now because they can pump. They could keep like a bunch of guys alive, but we are dead, unfortunately. I feel like that's, I don't know. That's what happens every time I play against Elves with Black Sack, because I get maybe one game where I'm able to get a Drown in Sorrow. But like in that game, we had 3 Drown in Sorrows to find. We had a Tragic Slip and a Spinning Darkness. Obviously, we found the Tragic Slip right at the end, but it was too late. If we'd found it, 4 turns earlier, it might have been decent though. Tragic Slip, Spinning Darkness, Drown in Sorrows, Snuff outs. We had used 1 Shambling Ghast, so we had another one, and Rite of Consumption would have just won us the game before the Well-Wisher started gaining them life. So we had like 10 good hits, and we just didn't find them, and that's unfortunate. Anyway, this is the longest stream I've done at all, almost 6 hours, and I am very tired and hungry, so I am going to sign off here. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.